era for American cricket began in 2021.
There he goes into a dive! What a catch!
The rise of cricket was celebrated across the country. Now, with big wickets and even bigger hits, the stars of minor league cricket are back and better than ever.
Primus goes huge!
Don't miss the nation's largest league competing for the biggest prize in American cricket. The Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship returns June 25th.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex in Prairie View, Texas for another Central Division matchup between the Chicago Blasters and the Houston Hurricanes. I'm here with Captain Hassan Shahir of the Chicago Blasters. I knew I was going to do that. And Captain, I guess that would be Rafiq Usman of the Houston Hurricanes. And the third umpire, Cameron Best. Umpire Best hands the coin to Mr. Rafiq, and if you would please, sir.
Heads.
Heads is the call.
It's a tails.
It is a tails. So, Usman, you've won the toss. You've elected to bowl first. Cloudy conditions. What are your thoughts on the pitch? Why did you choose to bowl first?
Well, you said it enough. Cloudy conditions, right? I think it rained a little bit as well. So I mean, we can see the wicket is a little bit soft right now. So we're going to try and take that advantage to our and somehow restrict them to low as possible and trying to go back and chase the total.
You yourself have been on a tear recently. Tell me a little bit about how well you're playing and how does that translate to inspiring the rest of the team?
I think it was we needed a win, right? As a team, as a unit, to have those positive vibes in our dressing room. So I'm happy that I was able to perform well, and of course as a team we won, and then of course after that we won both of the next game as well. So last couple of weeks was amazing for us. So we'll look to have another good week.
Fantastic. Go well. Best of luck. So, you obviously lost the toss. What would you have preferred to do had you won the toss?
Well, looking at the pitch, it's a soft wicket, so we would have ball first too, but it's all good. So we're going to try to put up a good score and try to defend it. So.
Looking at the standings, fair to say that you all have not had the type of season that you'd have wanted to have. But going on to the back end, we're less than a month away from the end of the regular season. What are you looking to accomplish as a team from this point on?
At least we're trying to get some games, win some games and get the momentum going. I know the season's not over yet, so we'll hope for the best and we'll try to finish the season on a good note.
Fantastic. Best of luck. Go well. So again, the news here from the center is that the Houston Hurricanes have won the toss and they've decided to bowl. Good evening and welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex in Prairie View, Texas, just outside of Houston. We're pleased to bring you the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. Brian Walters with you. Have the pleasure of being here with Munir Majid to bear witness to another Central Division matchup as we get going here between the Houston Hurricanes and the Chicago Blasters. Good afternoon, Munir.
Good afternoon, Brian. Wonderful day here at the Prairie View Cricket Complex as we are live in the last home game of the season for the Houston Hurricanes. It's been quite a mixed bag. Not easy going for this team, but they've come back pretty strongly, and they've been led spectacularly by the skipper, Usman Rafiq, Brian.
It is fantastic to see the way that Houston, who for all intents and purposes were dead and buried a month ago, seem to have roared back into the thick of things. We'll look at the standings shortly as we're in the middle of the first over. First over being bowled from the Forest, and that is the great Mohamed Ilyas bowling to YZ. YZ, of course, already with a single, and now facing up to Captain Shahir Hassan. Ball a little bit too far outside the off stump for the liking of umpire Altaf Mahesania. Umpire Altaf Mahesania being the umpire from the Forest end. The umpire operating from the highway end today is Samir Bandekar.
A little bit of movement in the air and off the pitch with the new ball. And Mohamed Ilyas, he's done that with the new ball consistently this season. He's been one mainstay in this bowling lineup as he comes back in, running in from the Forest end. Nice and full, good movement again outside the off stump.
Just a big swipe and a miss on that occasion. Looks like Shahir Hassan likes to field bat on ball. You know, looking at the pitch just before the match started, Munir, it seems like there's been a fair amount of rain around recently. To me, it felt a little bit tackier, maybe just a touch softer than it did. So I don't think that there was any surprise that Usman Rafiq chose to bowl first, because I think batting is going to be very tricky, at least in the first several overs of this match. Here we go. Ilyas again, flashing again outside off stump. So again, it appears that Shahir Hassan wants to field bat on ball, but so far not really making a lot of contact.
Very true, Brian. And besides that, it's also the fact that the Houston Hurricanes are looking to overhaul quite a big run rate deficit when it comes to the Chicago Tigers, who have had a pretty good season. So Hurricanes find themselves in a situation where they can put the best foot forward and try and win all their games, but they would still rely on some results to go their way. But even with that being the case, they still need to come over a big run rate deficit. As this is nice and full again. Nice first over from Ilyas so far. He's been right on the money, besides that one wide ball.
Well, Ilyas, obviously, his pedigree speaks for itself. Highly regarded bowler, former PSL player for a number of years, and if I'm not mistaken, he also represented Pakistan in 1 or 2 ODIs. But just a tremendous bowler. Has, on a pitch that was more helpful last week, you saw him bend his back and get a couple of deliveries to really fly right through at the height where keeper Sakhlin Hader was taking it up above his head. Any fast bowler wants to see a pitch like that. Seems to be a little bit of a delay as maybe a new bat is being called for by Shahir Hassan. So Mohamed Ilyas has always bowled with the new ball. Typically, the way that Usman Rafiq uses him is to have him bowl a couple of overs, maybe 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, and then come back to bowl at the death. So what are your thoughts about him as a bowler overall?
I love the rhythm and the energy he brings with the new ball. Wonderful, smooth run-up, easy on the eye, very nice follow-through, and he's done that consistently throughout the season. I haven't seen him, regardless of the heat or the momentum of the games, his energy does not drop on the field. So very hard-working cricketer, and he's the kind who can really boost the momentum and the overall feel of his team as he comes back in again. Cramps the batsman this time, just slightly short of good length. Looks like that just held its line. It didn't have that away movement which he has got for the last couple of deliveries.
Sure, just seeing here on the replay, just holding its line, and really, you know, I mentioned that the pitch appeared to be or would likely be a little bit slow on the slow side, but that one actually jumped up at Shahir Hassan to sort of almost like it caught him off guard. So I think what the message is that if you get the ball on a good length, anywhere on and around that good length area, it will cause some problems to the batters.
Very true, and that again rears off a good length. Almost top-ended off the shoulder. There's a direct hit from one of the slip fielders who ran to recover the ball, but the umpire says they make their ground. So at the end of the first over, the score is 3 for no loss. So, back live, we've got Hassan Rashid. He's going to be coming in from the 290 highway end. He's one of the local players who has come through the ranks of the Houston Cricket League, has been part of the Prairie View Cricket Club setup, and he's been gifted for his hard work and the effort he has put in by getting a slot in this Houston Hurricanes team. Tall, fast bowler, known to extract a lot of good bounce back of a length. What do you on Rashid, Brian?
Just the first few times that I've seen him bowl, I've been impressed mostly with his control. Doesn't blow you away with pace, and he'll probably be a few kilometers per hour slower than Muhammad Ilyas. But what I'm really interested in seeing is the carry from this end of the wicket, because bowling from the highway end, just inspecting the pitch before the game started, it really looked right in this area, the good length where the batter is now facing, as this is all flirted with outside off stump for no run. But in that area, just on a good length, it appeared that it was a little bit soft. And so, obviously, that's nothing against the groundkeeper, as it's not a lot you can do when it's been raining as much as it has been in the Houston area recently. So, my concern would be how tricky is the bounce going to be from this end. In other words, the northern end of the field, that a good length would be bowling from the highway end. It would be interesting to see how he's able to use that.
Well put, Brian, as Hassan comes steaming in again. Second ball of the delivery of the over coming up.
Oh, look at this. That is good bounce. It's a little bit wide. I think it was given wide by umpire Bandeker because of the line. But the height, just look at the replay here. So the ball taking off, absolutely taking off out of nowhere. That's going to, in one sense, if you're a Houston player, you're going to be happy to see that. But then in another sense, you're going to be thinking, boy, I hope this calms down before I come to bat.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is I'll go back to your comments from the first over. Techie is the word, because the Clouds have been playing hide and seek all of this week, pretty much the last 4 to 5 days. There have been some drizzles, but at least today, we haven't had sun really belting down and drying that surface. So it seems there's some moisture intact, and with these humid, overcast conditions, we still see a lot of clouds above the 290 highway end. So there hasn't been a lot of sunlight falling onto the pitch. So that may play a crucial factor in the first 4 to 5 overs with the new ball.
It's interesting. Now, there's a little bit of a delay. Both umpires are talking. I am wondering, in fact, I won't speculate, but it's curious to see exactly what the conversation is about. We mentioned how that last delivery, the one that was signal wide, I think it was signal wide because of the line, but it took off in such a way as to suggest that it's really going to require the batters really applying themselves and getting accustomed to the conditions before they go on and start playing some shots. It's going to be something to pay attention to here in the next few deliveries, really the next few overs, because as you mentioned, the heat, shocking that those of us in Houston are actually complaining that there is not enough heat.
Careful what you ask for. Count your blessings if you live in South Texas.
But at this time of the year or this time of the day, the sun will be baking down. That's not exactly the case right now, as Hassan Rashid coming back into ball. And this is a full toss. Gets right through the captain, Usman Rafiq, at extra cover. And I think they'll pick up an easy 2. So that one did not pitch, so the pitch did not come into, the pitch was not a factor in that delivery. But it's just something to pay attention to. Before the batters start playing through the line and going for their shots, they're going to want to take some time to get accustomed to the pitch.
And I think so. We definitely are second guessing, but I think that was really the context of the discussion. I saw Ashley Nurse close in on the umpire. The batsman might have said a word or two there as Hassan comes in again.
Lovely shot.
And
look, cut away very nicely down to third man. That would be Muhammad Ilyas down here at third man in front of us. Really good looking shot. So based on the way that the ball came off the pitch, I hate to keep beating this dead horse, but based on the way that the ball came off the pitch, that before that shot played by the captain Shahir Hassan, it suggests that at least on that delivery, the ball came onto the bat pretty nicely. And so if you're Chicago, you're going to want to make sure that that's the way that the ball keeps being played. And, of course, as Houston is going to want to make sure that the pitch plays as many tricks as possible. Otherwise, Zia now back on strike, just dropping it down into that backward point area, and they run through for another quick single.
And the thing is, the ones from the Houston local circuit who have known or seen Hassan Rashid, mind you, he's a guy who's about 6'6", 6'7" tall, and he gets pretty high on his delivery stride. The release point is pretty high, and within the local circuits, he's known to extract a lot of bounce. Uses his height pretty well. Nice, smooth, clean run-up in action. So if you go around the local circuit, yeah, that's something you expect of this guy. And he's doing exactly the same as that one. Again, there's some chin music that's called.
There's chin music, but there's also a no ball signaled by umpire Mahesanya at square leg. So that would signal to me that it would be a matter of not enough, or maybe too many players being outside the circle. Can't think of another reason why during the power play a no ball would be called. Certainly see two, and I don't pick up the third, but Mohamed Ilyas is down here at third man. There's a deep backward square leg in position. I don't see where the third player was, but I can't think of any other reason why he would have called a no ball.
Did he signal one for the over on one of the previous deliveries? They did not.
He definitely signaled a no ball, and he also signaled free hit, so it definitely would have been a no ball. And after all of that, a very unobtrusive delivery that ultimately didn't cost Houston anything. I'd love to have some clarification on that. Not exactly sure what the call was, but at the end of all of that, it's just another dot ball. Again, the no ball brings the score along to 9, but more to the point for Houston, the free hit did not cost them anything. So here he is again, and this is whipped away behind square. Good-looking shot, but there's protection down there. Just a single down to backward square leg, and that should be the end of the over. Yep, at the end of 2, the score is 10 without loss.
1, 2, 3.
So 10 without loss after 2. It will be Mohamed Ilyas to continue bowling from the forest end. Munir, in this part of the country, you don't see overcast, cloudy skies very often at this time of the year.
True, and it's been one of those summers this year. I recall July used to be a pretty heavy month in terms of rain, but we haven't had a lot of rains in July. There have been some scattered showers and some overcast conditions. So that's what we're seeing in this pitch at the moment. Looks like it's getting some seam movement and odd bounce at times. Wow. Another one there. Shahir has had a look of frustration on his face these last couple of deliveries. Him and Zia have got together a couple of times in the middle of the pitch. There have been some animated conversations. I think they just need to get on with the game here, Brian. Thoughts?
I would agree with you. Their body language suggests that they're thinking a little bit too much about the pitch, is what I would think. And, you know, sometimes you can talk yourself into being defeated by the conditions. And I would like to think, particularly since Shahir Hassan today is standing in as captain, it's a matter of just leading from the front and just grabbing the bull by the horns and taking control. But he's not yet doing that as so far. He tries to do it here, looking for a big, expansive drive that just trickles into the covers for no run.
Yep, and this is one heck of an opening pair. Uves, Zia, and Shahir Hassan both are explosive batsmen, and the Chicago Blasters heavily rely on this pair. So they just need to get on with the game, just try and get their team off to a flyer. and not let that pitch or the bounce these bowlers are getting get into the back of their minds.
Completely agree with you as Mohamed Ilyas coming back again. Oh, here we go. This time driving over the top, and this will have the legs to take it to the boundary for the first boundary of the day. You mentioned, Munir, that this pair is generally pretty aggressive. I think you saw some evidence of it there.
Yep, commentators' curse works both ways. So I didn't jinx the batsman, but just what I said, if they find a ball in the arc, just need to get on with it. And these are pretty good batsmen, both of them. And even if they think that the ball is rearing and the bowlers have got good pace, they are well equipped to see it off and just still go at a tick 6-7 and over and then capitalize. Just save their wickets and, go on from there. As Ilyas comes back in. Another foolish delivery, and this is square batted over long off. Ashley Nurse giving it a chase, and it rolls into the boundary for four more.
It rolls in the boundary for 4, but more to the point, it's also signaled as a no ball. So troubles here for Mohamed Ilyas as another free hit, another no ball, and he's looking very quizzically at the landing spot where he landed his front foot, but I don't think that umpire Mahisanya would have seen anything other than what he called, which is an overstep and a free hit. And, of course, with the fact that the batters remain in the same position, the same batters on strike, so the field cannot be changed. And so we here again looking for the similar exact field, but this time Shahir Hassan can play with all the freedom in the world because this next ball is going to be a free hit. There's a free hit delivery. Slower delivery. Oh, gets through. Tell you what, that's well bowled. That's good thinking by Mohamed Ilyas. You would think that your big fast bowler would come in and knock it into the pitch at 140 kilometers an hour, but he bowled just an off-speed pitch and not able to get any bat on that was Shahir Hassan.
Yeah, nice smart thinking by Ilyas. And the 3 or 4 deliveries we have seen this over, everything has been halfway down the track.
Yep.
Just because of the signs or the body language the batsmen have given the bowlers, they've got their tails up and they're literally trying to rear the ball and get it right around that helmet.
Oh, another breeze of delivery and the delayed appeal. Well, umpire Mahisanya would never have given that appeal. I think Mohamed Ilyas joined in 5 seconds after everybody else joined in. And the umpire basically thinking, well, if you're not sure, I'm certainly not sure. If you look here at the replay, though, here's Ilyas coming into bowl, again halfway down the pitch, and kind of a half-hearted appeal by the keeper, Sakleen Haider, and the others joined in only because he went up halfway. So, no real umpire I don't think is going to give that.
Yeah, it looked like Ilyas had a subdued follow-through, but when he saw Sakleen appeal, he joined in.
Exactly.
Almost an afterthought as Ilyas comes in again, and again it rears off.
Wow.
And Shahir is throwing his arms as if he's complaining, but if the bowlers are bowling that line and length, that's the attack they're going for. So I'm not really seeing the problem here. Besides, the batsmen have kind of jinxed and built this up in their head at this moment in time.
Absolutely. 19 without loss after 3. We'll be right back.
My son, he's so soft-spoken.
Oh, yeah!
Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Sometimes you're talking until when the play starts and then you immediately take over as play-by-play. That's just, I want to see. Back live here, this full delivery from YZ is driven square of the wicket. That might be the shot of the day so far. We're only into the 4th over so far, Munir, but for me, that's the shot of the day.
I've barely seen anything pitched up right up to the bat. There may have been a couple of deliveries. I think the bowling plan has been pretty good to be just short of length, back of length, use the pitch. but the moment they err with length, the batsmen capitalize. So, like we were saying, that they just need to save their wickets, see through this initial burst from these bowlers. They're doing pretty well. 3.1 overs, 23, not bad at all.
Not bad at all. This ball is a lot shorter. Look at this. Looking to get on or get off strike was Awazia. Almost got caught in no man's land, but not able to complete the run. So I like the point that you just made. Even with all of the, let's call it the tricks that the pitch has played so far, they're still scoring at the rate of 6.9 runs and over. So they're right where they need to be. I'm thinking something along the lines of 140, 150 will be plenty. It's just a matter of being able to back yourself to get to that total. And here has Hassan Rashid coming back in again and dropping a run, not able to get too far away on this occasion, no run.
Yeah, they've had to fight fires with some of these deliveries, but in between, as is always the case in T20 cricket, you get those boundary balls, and you just need to capitalize, which they've done wonderfully well so far.
Completely agree with you. So, in looking at the overall picture, first of all, on the screen right now, you will see that the sun has decided to come out from behind the clouds. Those of us who are not playing will not like that, but the players will love the pitch being dried out as this ball is pulled down to square leg. Thankfully for Chicago, or for Houston rather, there is protection there in the deep and just a single.
Yeah, and for the first time I saw even some good intent on one of those short deliveries. And Uvezia is known to be quite a good puller. We have seen him play a lot of those shots, and once he gets something off the middle, be ready down that far end. He really could connect on those pull shots.
Well, Munir, you were at your dog show last week, so you might not have been watching the entire time. This building got hit a few times last week with the most agonizing, loud sound. So any of the sixes that are flying in this direction, I think you and I need to have, at minimum, we need to put some helmets on.
Yep, as Hassan Rashid continues.
Oh, look at this. Did he lose that ball? I think he might have just lost sight of it. He turned his back. That ball hit him directly on the shoulder blade.
It might have gotten him on the elbow, it seems. Oh. It did wear in off the seam. It did cut in quite a bit, it seemed. We'll have the replay here in a bit.
So here's looking at the replay. Good job by Roddy in the production area to get the replay to us. But definitely took his eye off of it. It appeared to hit him probably right on the left tricep, right in that area. Certainly would have been a painful blow. Here's a replay again. Boy, right there, took his eye off of it, turned his back, and it hit him on the tricep. You know, exactly where on his arm, it doesn't matter. It's still going to hurt a lot. And, of course, a little delay in the action now as he gets tended to. Near those of us who grew up playing cricket without helmets have always thought that the fact that everyone wears a helmet now teaches bad habits. And one of the habits that we always point to is taking your eye off the ball. I hate to say it because you don't want to criticize somebody who's out there battling for his city. But the fact that he took his eye off of the ball might have had something to do with the fact that he got hit and is now hurt.
Yeah, very true, Brian. And it seemed that Shahir was trying to take a leaf out of Ovezia's book because he had a very high back lift. He was sitting on that back foot trying to go for that pull shot. Because Hassan, mostly, I think 80 to 90% of his deliveries have been halfway down the track.
Yeah.
So Shahir might have had a game plan there, but what didn't work in his favor was the way that ball nipped back in. There was quite a decent seam movement on that occasion, which caught him off guard. He just wasn't prepared to do anything to that delivery.
I think you're right. And now umpire Altaf Mahesani having a chat with both batters. And I'm wondering if this goes back to the conversation from a couple of overs ago. In my mind, obviously most of the cricket that's played in this country is played on artificial surfaces. The fact that we have a facility here in Prairie View that allows for the batters to become accustomed to playing on natural turf wickets is a huge advantage. And one of the things that I think helps to develop you as a batter is to be able to maneuver, to be able to understand the way a pitch is playing and adjust your game accordingly. I don't know yet that these Chicago batters have shown fully the ability to do that.
Yep, and very good point, Brian, because all of these deliveries, I'm seeing them pitched halfway down the track. So if the ball is not going to bounce to shoulder height or at least above waist, what do we expect, right, of a turf wicket? So I think it's just playing according to the bowling plan the Houston Hurricanes have come up with. I haven't really seen any delivery dangerously take off from good length or anything that could be probably counted as dangerous towards the batsman.
I would completely agree with you. So just while we're having a little bit of a delay, let's just talk a little bit about the standings in the Central Division. The Dallas Mustangs, I think, are the class of the division, at least so far this year. 9 wins out of 10 matches with 18 points. The Chicago Tigers, 6 wins, 3 losses, and 13 points. Out of nowhere, the Houston Hurricanes have roared into that 3rd position. They've won a number of games in a row, 4 if I'm not mistaken. They're now 5 wins and 6 losses, and a number of their losses have been at the very last second. Here we just see a couple of replays from earlier on. Just a couple of highlights, if you will. That ball struck over the top by Shahir Hassan and then sort of baseballing that last one over center field for a home run. And those 2 boundaries were the 2 best ones that were hit by Hassan. And that is the shot of the day for me, driven square along the ground behind point by Wazia. So definitely you'll have the action is on the field. The batters, I think, will need to make sure that while they cash in on the deliveries that can be scored off of, they still negotiate the balls that are more difficult. Now, looking at where Wazia is, he's pointing specifically to a spot on the ground. Is there some complaint about the pitch?
This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th mid-pitch conference the batsmen have had with umpires. Ashley Nurse has been pretty animated every single time he has walked in. Usman has joined in. It's been happening quite a bit in the last 3 to 4 overs. And it's literally the batsmen who are complaining every time. One essence of the Prairie View Cricket Complex in this season and even in the last one has been it's never been an out-and-out batting T20 wicket. It always offers the bowler something. And whether it's the new ball or the spinners coming in, there's always something. So it's an even contest between bat and bowl. And that's what we have seen all along.
So much of this game is psychological. Effectively, you defeat, we'll get back to the standings a little bit later, but effectively you defeat yourself as a batting side if you are already acting like you're not able to play on the pitch. Here we go again, back to action, and this ball helped behind square on the leg side. I think Shahir Hassan indicating that it hit him on the glove.
Also, when you've convinced yourself in your mind that there's something wrong with the pitch, every shot you play, you're trying to sell that whole idea to the umpires, it seems.
Wow. Well, the end of a very eventful over, 25 without loss after 4. We'll be right back.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Thank you again for joining us here at the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Of course, you can follow along on all the matches in all of the social media channels that we have. Just go to any social media channel. That will be YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Search for Minor League Cricket. Specifically on Twitter, if you wanted to be able to interact with us, that's where it would happen. Just go to @MILCUSA. A new bowler for the Houston Hurricanes, Ryan Bagani, And he is met with a huge hit, but it's not going to carry all the way. And it is judged to perfection by Zenith Fowler. 1 ball, 1 wicket. The Chicago Blasters are 25 for 1.
Yeah, and as Ilyas came off, the 19-year-old youngster, Ryan Bagnani, he was not the one who would bowl those half-trackers. He's not as pacey, so as soon as Shahir saw something pitched right up to him, the frustration of the last 5-6 overs all accumulated in this 1 ball. And I think he just went too hard, Brian. He just went too hard, just skied it up. It was...
You have a youngster who's just coming into the lineup. You've already effectively told yourself that batting is going to be difficult. So maybe you've seen an opportunity to score runs, and that's why you throw the kitchen sink at the first thing that's pitched in your half. But again, the normal rules of cricket still have to apply. You still have to hit the ones that are there to be hit and respect the balls that are good balls. This ball, I don't think, was quite a delivery that merited the type of shot that Shahir Hassan played, and unfortunately for him, he loses his wicket. First wicket falls. The youngster with the first delivery that he's bowled, certainly this year that I've seen, I have not seen him play this, not seen him play at all this year. But he takes a wicket with that first ball, scores 25 for 1.
I think this might be his 2nd or 3rd game this season. He played a major role in that MILC Junior Championship for the Houston Hurricanes over the past weekend. Comes across as a very skilled all-rounder. I've seen him bat in the nets for the Houston Hurricanes. Looks like he packs some power for a 19-year-old. And he's picked up a wicket with his first delivery.
So the new batter is Mohamed Wakas as more conversations take place. Mohamed Wakas has been, I think, among the class players for the Chicago Blasters this year. Many games this year he has top scored. Just looking at the quick scorecard against the Houston Hurricanes earlier this year, he top scored at 38. As the bowling is in this time to Wazia. Quick shy at the striker's end, rather kind of casual running, but he made it in the end. A single to get things going here in the 5th over.
That was a brilliant single-handed pickup and throw. I think it was Hassan Rashid, number 47 at covers. He's dropping back now, back into that same position at deep mid-wicket where he took that catch of Shahir Hassan. That ball just seemed to stay in the air for miles. It was almost 6 to 7 seconds till it came down.
Yep. That's the Jamaicans in Fowler. Because, Munir, if you need something done right. Do I even need to finish that statement? Mohamed Wakas defending this ball. Another good length ball by Ryan Bagani. Another dot ball.
Yep, the script of play pretty much welcomed them with a lot of fire. And now with the middle overs, Brian, and then we've got Usman Rafiq, Ashley Nurse. I think you're going to see a steady, tight line and length from the bowlers from here on in.
Oh, huge swipe. Looking almost like an action replay to the delivery that took a wicket. Missed out on that occasion. Probably luckily for him because Zenith Fowler is in exactly the same position. Had that come off the top edge of the bat, he very well could have had a second catch. You know, Ryan Bagani playing today, it feels like he's going to be playing the role that Matthew Trump always plays. Matthew Trump, my understanding is that he's back in South Africa. Oh, this ball bounced a little bit higher than the batter was expecting, running close to the boundary. They'll get 2 as the throw comes back into the keeper's end. Now, that might be the first occasion where you really definitely saw the ball misbehave. Much more bounce in that occasion than was expected by Mohamed Wakas.
Much more than what we have seen on the previous occasions. Although the batsman had no complaints this time, but on the previous occasions, we have had quite a number of animated conferences as Ryan comes in.
Ooh. Another good bouncing delivery. Just doing well on that occasion, Mohamed Wakas, to drop the wrists and have that collected by Sakleen Header. So a very eventful over at the end of the 5th over. The score is 28 for 1.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Once again, welcome back to Prairie View. We're pleased to bring you the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. And our official sponsor, Dafa News, as Hassan Rashid continuing. Oh, look at this. Actually, it's a new bowler. That is... Oh, it is Hassan Rashid. Continuing from the highway end. A little bit of an innovative approach being taken on that occasion by Mohamed Wakas. No, check that. That is Awazia. Looking to step to off and whip that over the leg side, but not making contact.
One thing about Wezia's innings so far is the fact that he's been deprived of the strike quite a bit. Shahid was taking the lion's share of it as Hassan continues.
Oh, look at this. Oh, my goodness. The ball rushing on to Wazia. Looks to play the pull shot, not making contact and only holding out to mid-wicket. The second wicket goes down as that is Muneeb Chowdhury who puts away that simple catch. The second wicket goes down. Chicago is 28 for 2.
The pressure there was building on Uwezia. Shahid Hassan faced about 21 deliveries in the first 4 overs and with returns of 13 runs only. And Uwezia, like we just said before this particular delivery, had only faced 7 or 8 deliveries in these first 5 overs. So obviously frustration creeping in, and that has cost him his wicket.
You're absolutely right. I may have been wrong with regard to who took that catch. It might have been Karthik Gatipali. I want to confirm that. We'll see the replay here shortly to confirm. But either way, it doesn't matter from that standpoint. Here you see on the replay, Hassan Rashid halfway down and Awazia looking to pull. And yes, simple catch taken. And yep, that is Karthik Gatipali. Pretty simple catch, even with the fact that he's coming back, Gatipali, from an injury. He will not find it very difficult to take such a simple catch. And so Chicago slipping just a little bit more into the mire at this point. They were, even though they complained a little bit to start this match, they were actually going at a very good rate. But they've slipped in the last couple of overs. That scoring rate is now down to 5.25 and over, and they are at 28 for 2.
One thing we have noticed and realized during the course of this season is even a score of 140 can be very competitive on these pitches. So you have to regauge and plan your innings accordingly as the new batsman Umar Mir takes strike and nicely nudged for a single to the leg side.
So I think the point that you just made is a point that stands on its own in general. But on a pitch that is playing tricks, you have to tell yourself that if we can just battle and maybe wear a few for the team and just fight and try to make this game stretch all the way through to the 20th over and make sure that we can squeeze every bit of utility out of this innings, you can put 110, 115 on this wicket, could very easily be a challenge. And again, Houston has had a very good several weeks, but they have not shown themselves to be as strong a side as they were last year. So it's always the case that they could potentially struggle even chasing such a small total. As Hassan Rashid back in, and this ball takes off. You're exactly right, Munir. He absolutely bends that back and just gets the ball flying through. That 6'6", 6'7" height is what caused the bounce on that occasion.
The situation which Uwezia put himself in, you saw the replay. It hit the splice of the bat almost near the handle. And with balls like these, which are taking off and the bowler is bending his back, getting decent pace and bounce, it's very hard to play that shot. So you might be better off just getting on the back foot, giving yourself time to deflect the ball into the gaps, find those ones and twos as Hassan continues from the forest end.
Oh, swipe outside off stump and flying down here to third man. That is Mohamed Ilyas, who does the cleanup work. But your point is exactly right. you should be in battle mode right now. You should be telling yourself, regardless of what happens, I'm going to put a price on my wickets. I can absorb a couple of overs where we only score 2 or 3 runs and then get set to be able to launch. As the sun is back out, it will get easier for batting towards the back end of this innings. You just have to tell yourself that you're going to battle the conditions. Not showing the propensity to do that so far, Chicago. And this ball is nudged just behind square. Sacklin had a really quick work behind the stumps to prevent any scoring opportunities. So that's a dot ball to close things out here in the 6th. That is the end of the power play. At the end of 6, the score is 30 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Ryan Bagani to continue. Just 3 bowlers used so far. Mohamed Elias bowled 2. Hassan Rashid has just completed his 3rd. Ryan Bagani, the youngster, has bowled 1 over so far and has taken 1 wicket. So the power play is done and dusted.
Also, Brian, coming back to the discussion from the last over, we have to keep in mind that the Houston Hurricanes, whatever that total is which they're chasing, they're going to come super hard because they're looking to overcome a net run rate deficit, as we'll come back to this point after this delivery from Ryan Bagani.
Boy, that good length area from this end. That ball is rearing off of a very good length. So if I am Usman Rafiq, I may be thinking putting somebody back to 3rd man, or maybe the person who's at 3rd man now bringing him a little finer, because that ball is going to fly in that area if it keeps bouncing the way it is right now. As Bagani bowls again, this ball is just knocked to Usman Rafiq himself at short cover.
Interestingly, when Ryan came to bowl, he was bowling that good line, full deliveries, just short of good length. But given what he has seen in this pitch, he has probably pulled his length back a couple of feet. So, interestingly, I think that seems to be a game plan now for the Hurricanes. No spinner has come on in the 7th over so far.
See, these are the elements of playing on a natural surface that indicate that you are, let's call it, the next level of cricket. You're no longer weekend cricketers coming up and playing on AstroTurf. You're learning the way that the pitch is playing, seeing what's happening, seeing what happens when you pitch it full versus when you pitch it short, and then making the adjustment. It'd be really good to know that the young man himself figured out how to make that adjustment, but it's good to know that the team has noticed it. And this is knocked in the air down to the sweeper on the offside. That would be, I think, Kartik Adipali out there coming in, sweeping off the boundary for another single.
And to that point, Brian, in my opinion, that's one trick that the Houston Hurricanes might have missed through the course of this season. First game of the season to travel to Dallas, and that same batting lineup scored in excess of 200 runs. But when they came back to their home conditions, which should be their fortress, it seemed they failed to read the pitch, and everyone right from ball 1 was going after the bowling. They didn't give themselves enough chances to get in and build an innings.
You're absolutely right. Just 2 different games almost. Here's Bagani again bowling around the wicket to the left-handed Amir Mir. Amir Mir has been there for now 3 deliveries, just scored 1 run. Mohamed Wakas, 2 from 10. So the scoring has well and truly dried up. The overall run rate now down to 4.54. If they continue scoring at this rate, Munir, they will end up with 91 runs, which I don't think will be enough. Last delivery. That's well played. Just coming forward, smothering the extra bounce. And the keeper, Sacklin header, giving way to the fielder coming in from the boundary at deep backward square for a single. So a single to close things out here in the 7th. 32 for 2 is the score. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3.
Now it seems the man with the golden arm for the Houston Hurricanes. Golden arm, and anything he touches turns to gold this season. Usman Rafiq has brought himself on. Just we spoke about the lack of spin so far, given what the pitch was offering. It would be pretty interesting to see how the spinners now go about bowling this. Would they air the ball? Would they give it a lot of air and look to flight it? Or would they go for those quick balls to get it to skid and bounce at times? It would be really interesting to see.
The one thing to keep in mind is that Usman Rafiq is first and foremost a tremendous bowler. Secondly, to your point, a very intelligent bowler. So he'll know how to use the conditions. He'll be able to judge what types of deliveries are the ones that are most likely to cause trouble to the batters, and then he will make the adjustment accordingly. So he'll be bowling around the wicket to the left-handed Umer Mir. Umer Mir, again, 2 from 4 so far. Mohamed Wakas, 2 from 10. So both of these batters are going to have to, if not go recklessly, at least look to aggressively find those 1s and 2s. But again, that will not be easy against Captain Usman Rafiq. Rafiq, right arm off spinner around the wicket. Oh, great delivery. I want to see the replay to see if that turned, but it fizzed past the outside edge. Oh my goodness, that's a great delivery to start. Of course, kind of hard to get all the replays in. Oh yes, that turned. And here we go again, outside edge, again a turning delivery, spinning away from the fielder slip. It runs away for 4, but that is a huge moral victory for Usman Rafiq, because he knows that there is enough in this pitch that will cause some trouble for the batters.
Usman has his hands up in the air, and we in the comm box felt the same. The fielder at short third man almost escorted the ball to the boundary, almost just like literally ran with it. We were hoping that a dive would come in or he was going to bend down, and Usman feels the same. The Hurricanes have done well to have Chicago Blasters by the scruff of their neck, and they cannot let them away, because like what we said earlier, whatever is the score, they're going to look to overhaul it within 9 to 10 overs or as soon as they can. Now, Gully is in, a second slippish. Gully.
Boy, the way that those first 2 deliveries turned, it is not surprising that you now see Ashley Nurse into that second slip position. Boy, how often do you see 2 slips in a T20 match? And they're both ready because that ball from Usman Rafiq is turning away from the left-hander. Oh, this is cheeky. This is deliberate. This was not an edge. He deliberately late cut that one down to the boundary. They'll get 2. That is a good piece of batsmanship. Full credit to Mir on that occasion. Just dabbing that one. Okay, I'm going to say a name that might be a little bit too old for your vintage. Lawrence Rowe. Do you know that name?
I do.
Lawrence Rowe was famous for just dabbing that ball late, almost taking it out of the gloves of the keeper. Similar shot on that occasion. Oh, another good delivery that causes some discomfort. Credit to Umar Mir for keeping it down and then still getting a single to boot.
What I did notice from Ashley Nurse at second slip was a big wide grin, which I can literally pick from the commentary box. A spinner watches his spin partner get turned and bounce. What else can you ask for on a fine Saturday?
Oh, yes. So Ashley Nurse, international quality spinner himself, will be licking his chops to get the ball from the opposite end, I would think. Just 1 ball remaining here in the 8th over. 39 for 2 Chicago. The innings sputtering a little bit before this over. They've scored a few runs this over, but I don't know how comfortable they will be. And that might have been the doosra to close things out here in the 8th. A beautiful delivery, fizzing again past the outside edge by Usman Rafiq. At the end of 8, the score is 39 for 2. It's good stuff.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone Everyone says he's so good looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex, where Ryan Bagani will continue bowling from the forest end around the wicket, bowling to the left-handed Umer Mir. Had thoughts of going for a single there, but no run.
One of the rarest full deliveries we have seen any pacer from the Hurricanes bowl today. Ryan, like we were saying in this previous over, has pulled his length back just very so slightly. And he's the kind of bowler who looks to hit the top of off. But he's bowling slightly short today as he comes in.
Boy, he's an intelligent bowler because he knows that that spot just on a good length, maybe just short of a good length, is where the ball is misbehaving the most. And you see after Umer Mir played that shot, immediately took his glove off and started flashing his hand. Obviously, the ball hit him on the glove.
Mental demons, Brian, because I was going to say that ball was fended from just above the knee roll, it seemed. Just above the knee roll. If we have the replay, you would see. But I think just the length where the ball lands, that's put doubts in the mind of the batsman. Ryan comes in from the forest end.
Pulled away into the deep. That is Zinni Fowler down there at deep backward square. So there are a couple of ways that you could play this as a batting side. You could wave the white flag, or you could decide to fight. I want to see the Chicago Blasters put up a better fight. Not regarding the score. The score will be what the score will be, but I want to see them, their body language, say that they're ready for the fight. As this ball driven back to Bagani for no run. A spectator's catch, but no run. My sense is that their body language and the, let's call it the over-the-top reactions to balls that misbehave suggests that they're not in it for the fight. And I'd really want to see them change that. They're a good side. They've not had much success this year. But all of this to say that there's a lot of work that they can do to change things around. As this ball is dropped into the offside for a single, just one ball remaining here in the ninth. 42 runs I don't think is enough, but I don't think it's about the runs at this point. I think it's just a matter of them keeping wickets in hand, again, looking to fight their way to a respectable total, maybe launching towards the back end of the innings. That's what you want to see from this team. Bagani with his last delivery, taking off again. Just for a split second, I had thoughts of ramping that. That might be an option to come later on in the innings. But for now, it's just a dot ball to close things out in the ninth. At the end of 9, the score is 42 for 2.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
.42 for 2 after 9. Captain Usman Rafiq continuing the attack from the highway end. Will be bowling to the left-handed Umer Mir. Umer Mir 11 from 13, and this is swept around the corner. Good-looking shot. This is Hassan Rashid from deep backward square to just limit the damage to 1 run. So Captain Usman Rafiq has been on a bit of a tear. Last week, Saturday, picked up a double hat trick, what to my memory is the only double hat trick that's ever been bowled in the history of minor league cricket. I stand to be corrected if that's not accurate. But tremendous bowling by the captain to bowl his team to victory. And then the very next morning or the next day against the Dallas team, scored 48 from 7, or against the Lone Star team rather, scored 48 from 17 to create victory. So tremendous results so far by the captain, leading from the front. It's a dot ball here in the second delivery of the over. Now here's the third. Struck wide of mid-on. Just a single though. Looks like actually Mohamed Ilyas coming around from wide mid-on to clean up. So good start. The last 5 overs rather, before this over started, the last 5 overs, only 17 runs scored by the Chicago Blasters. So Munir, runs have dried up a little bit here by Chicago. Oh, another great delivery.
Again, that big turn. Usman is landing everything in line with the stumps and getting it to go away from the left-hander. Yes, Brian, I think what's needed right now is for them to build a platform and get to that stage where they can capitalize in at least the last 4 to 5 overs. Usman again, nicely tossed up.
It's interesting because obviously Usman getting good movement. You think of the spin options that are still there. Ashley Nurse is not bowled yet. Kartik Gatapali is not bowled yet. So there's tons of options. Oh, look at this. Another ball that takes off from a good length. Good piece of keeping by Saqlain Haider. The last 5 overs have yielded 16 runs.
And rushing through the overs, the partnership of Rayan and Usman as this over comes to an end. After 10, the score
44 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
44 for 2 after 10. Obviously, if they continue scoring at this rate, even I can do that math, Munir. That will get them to 88. And again, I think they'll need more than that. Interestingly, looking at the forecast, there is a fair amount of rain in the forecast around 5:30. So I'm wondering if they're bowling all the spinners and going as quickly as they are because they want to get through this innings before then.
Being a Houston resident for a decade and a half, I don't believe it till I see it.
I'm with you there. I'm absolutely with you there. Mohamed Waqas facing up now to, oh, look at this. This is going to be Ryan Bagani bowling his last over, and a scoop shot attempted by Mohamed Waqas rather. I think he's realizing now that it's time, if we're going to start putting up a decent total on the board, it's time to start taking steps in that direction. So for the first time today, you see the scoop shot being attempted. Wind also picking up tremendously all of a sudden. So conditions are starting to change a little bit, which feels like there's a bit of a weather system. So yes, you lived here now for a decade and a half. You say, I lived here for 22 years before I moved to Austin. So I completely agree with you that, you know, it's not Missouri, but it's a show me state in the sense that regardless of what the forecast says, you have to see what the weather actually does. But the intelligent cricket mind would be thinking, if there's rain in the forecast, let's see if we can get this innings through quickly. So the back half of this innings, you know, even if we have rain to contend with, it will make the equation easier from the standpoint of Duckworth Lewis. This ball is dropped down to short third man. Run through for a quick single. So maybe just a touch more urgency you see between the two Chicago batters, Mohamed Waqas and Umair Mir.
Also, in terms of the approach from the Chicago batting, I haven't seen one batsman think out of the box and try and do something to unsettle the bowlers. Maybe mark your guard a couple of feet down the crease and see if the bowler would like to pull his length back. That gives you that extra time to get your dancing shoes on and do something different. But they've just succumbed to what the pitch has thrown at them.
In the air, this is unfortunately going to be a wicket if it can be caught up with. Oh no, it falls in no man land. Oh, good running attempt there by Ryan Bagani, but not able to get to it. Now, in defense of the Chicago batters, as you see here on the replay, just looking to hoik that one. I think it went a lot straighter than he was looking to play it and landing out of reach of Ryan Bagani. But in defense of the Chicago batters, Sacklane Hader has been keeping up both to the spinners and to, I almost said Matthew Trump, and to Ryan Bagani. So I don't know that using or being out of the crease or coming down the wicket would have been a good option under those circumstances. Slower delivery. Boy, runs again, even though you've seen some efforts by Chicago to sort of break free of the doldrums, runs still appear to have been dried up, and they're coming at a premium.
Sacklane, interestingly, has kept back to Umar Mir all along, and he's come up to Mohammad Waqas.
Yeah.
So maybe Umar Mir needs to get the dancing shoes on. Oh, that's almost rolled into the stumps and fended. Looked like it got him on the wrist. Umar Mir has been fending at a lot of deliveries from Ryan. We'll get the replay on this one. We'll soon see what really happened on this delivery.
Here's the replay. Ryan Bagani is over. His day with the ball is done. But looking at the replay, bouncing up, taking him again on the front glove, the top glove rather. Think that's where it took him. And you see him throw the bat in disgust. Once again, body language being everything. You want to know that they're there for the fight, and you're not quite seeing evidence of that. 47 for 2 after 11. So at this rate, at the rate of 4.27, was Ryan Bagani with a fantastic spell. 4 overs, 1 for 9. That looks good in any form of cricket, and particularly for a young man. That is a fantastic, fantastic spell bowled by Ryan Bagani. But as I was saying, 47 for 2, they're scoring at the rate of 4.27 and over. That run rate from now only gets them to 85. If they were to go up to a run a ball from here, they'd end up at just over 100, 101. In order to get to 119, they'd have to go at the rate of 8 and over. If you wanted to go crazy and think 155, then they'd have to be scoring at the rate of 12 and over. So a lot of work to do to put a competitive total on the board, but they do have wickets in hand. Only 2 wickets have fallen so far. And we mentioned him a couple overs ago. Here's the big man from Barbados, Ashley Nurse, taking up the attack from the highway end.
Like we said a couple of overs ago, Ashley Nurse might have been licking his lips in the slips, waiting for the ball to be thrown to him. I would reckon from over number 12, he might be bowling a spell through. Remains to be seen what kind of turn and bounce he gets as Ashley comes in.
Very full delivery. Not much happening from that length, I wouldn't think, as they go through for... Did they cross for single?
I hope they did, given the amount of time they had there.
They did go for single. See, Munir, when you get to my age, you know, the young eyes that you have are precious. Make sure you treasure them.
I mean, they've put doubts in the mind of the commentators as well. I wouldn't have been surprised if they threw their arms up in the air and just turned down the single. That's been the order of play today.
Oh, good-looking sweep shot. That's going to run away for 4, I think. That is well played. Very good shot by Umar Mir. Maybe just a touch too straight by Ashley Nurse from around the wickets. We could see on the replay that ball was heading down towards leg. Here we see on the replay. Yep, certainly down the leg side. Would have been called a wide had it not been played. And once it got past that man at short, fine leg, runs away to the boundary. That's a better line. That is absolutely a better line. A bit of grip, a bit of bounce, a bit of turn. So that's where Ashley Nurse is going to be most dangerous. Essentially the same spot where Captain Usman Rafiq found the most success. And very full and driven into the outfield for just a single. Call his name earlier. Surprised that he has not yet had a bowl. Karthik Gatipali.
Yeah, the Houston Hurricanes now with the introduction of Karthik into the team are one of the few teams which have a spin trio, which could come so handy on turf wickets like these. And all three are bowling in great rhythm as Ashley comes in.
Oh, down the wicket. Did he get all of this? Yes, he did. He certainly got enough of it. That is the first 6 of the day. Well, Munir, you asked for it, for there to be some aggression, for them to use their feet to try to get after the bowlers. I think Mohamed Wakas might have heard you.
And what's interesting is comparing this to Usman, who was getting sharp turn and a lot of bounce. Ashley Nurse, I've seen about 1 or 2 deliveries turn this over. Do you think, Brian, that has a lot to do with the pace difference between the two? Ashley likes to be nicely and flight the ball and bowl it nice and slow. Usman tends to rush through the crease and has a lot of zip on his deliveries.
It's interesting. And first of all, you're asking a Jamaican to you're asking a man from the country of Michael Holding, Courtney Walsh, Patrick Patterson to opine on spin bowling. So I don't have a good answer for you, unfortunately, as this ball is run down to short third man.
We'll get you back on when Ilyas is in the attack, Brian.
I'll have all things to say about Ilyas when he comes back on. For now, the score after 12 is 61 for 2.
One, two, three.
We are pleased to bring you the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. An official tournament sponsor is Dafa News, and we called for him, and apparently Usman Rafiq heard us. This is now the young orthodox left-arm spinner Karthik Gatipali. Tremendous bowler. Got hurt in the first game of the season and missed much of the season, but came back last week and is in the attack and in operation now from the forest end.
Yeah, Usman has got overs left from his 2 frontline pacers being Ilyas and Rashid, so he can use his spinners during this middle phase of the innings. Nicely flighted and nicely driven down to long off. Ilyas comes in to keep it down to a single. Good steady start from Karthik so far.
Good start. You will accept singles being given up by your spinners. What you just want to do is limit the big hits, and particularly with Mohamed Wakas. Mohamed Wakas, one of the best batters in the side for Chicago. Against Houston, he scored 38. Against Hollywood Master Blasters, he scored 49. Against the East Bay Blazers, he scored 45. Against the Chicago Tigers, he scored 45. And against the Michigan Cricket Stars, he scored 63. So he's definitely, he has capability with the bat. So what you're trying to do is just to limit his damage. If you get him out, wonderful if you're Houston, but if not, just limit the damage that he can get. This ball is swept away down into the deep. Oh, my goodness, almost got through Hassan Rashid. But he does well to keep it from going by him. Just a single.
That was nice camera work as we followed the ball into the hands of the fielder. So the last over from Ashley Nurse going for 14 runs would be a lot of encouragement for that dugout of Chicago. And given the situation, the kind of balls we have seen rear off good lengths with those 3 overs remaining from Ilyas and Rashid, the tables have turned, and now Chicago have no choice but to go after these spinners if they want to get any kind of respectable score as Karthik continues.
Completely agree with you. This is cut to backward point, no run. So if you're Chicago, you're going to have to start planning at this point. Okay, where am I going to get my runs from? And I think you're exactly right. The calculus has to be, we have to make hay while the sun shines, no pun intended, while the spinners are bowling. But Karthik Gatipali is not an easy bowler to attack. This is swept down to backward square for a single. And I think the more, he's one of those bowlers that the more you try to attack him, the more the chance of you giving up your wicket. Because with that left arm orthodox angle, he'll turn it away from the from the right-handed batter, Mohamed Wakas. So he could potentially be a dangerous customer here for Wakas. Outside off stump, boy, Mohamed Wakas does not like the fact that that was not signaled for a wide by umpire Altaf Mahisania.
I think he got away with that one, given how sharply that turned.
Yes.
Great take by Saklan Karthik again.
Oh, another good delivery. Reaching forward and defending is Mohamed Wakas. And not able to get any bat on that. Or he got bat on it, but not far away enough to concede any runs. So good beginning for the beginning spell by Karthik Gatapali. After 15, let's check that, 13, the score is 64 for 2.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
So back live in over number 14, Ashley Nurse, in spite of that 14-run over, given he's a mainstay in this bowling lineup, is going to continue into his second over. We've got 2 overs from Usman remaining, 3 from Karthik Gatapalli remaining, and it's almost a given that the Pacers would bowl their full quota on this pitch. So one of the spinners would definitely be missing out on their quota as Ashley comes in. That's a big turn. It's almost collected outside of the pitch. Wow. Saklan Heather, with quick footwork, dances across, jumps almost to the second slip region, takes it, as you see that big turn.
Tremendous amount of turn. And this ball, look at this thick outside edge. Oh, a direct hit could have been interesting.
That's given buys.
Signaled buys by umpire Bandekar. So a couple of extras to start the 14th.
And interestingly, like we were saying in Ashley Nurse's last over, we just saw 1 or 2 deliveries turn. I think he's compensating here for the previous over. Big turners here.
Yes, completely. And that's why I had no good answer for that spin-related question you asked me. And let's just take note of that. Ashley Nurse, I think he will prefer bowling to the left-handed Umer Mir than Mohamed Wakas. Wakas, that's a good piece of batting. Just dropping this down to short third man for a single. But obviously, if there's any turn, it will be in to the right-handed Mohamed Wakas. So it's easier for him to play those big shots in the arc between long on and square leg. Ashley Nurse, I think, would prefer to have the ball leaving the left-handed Umer Mir. Ooh, another good ball. So much better over to start out with here by Ashley Nurse. His first over went for 14, just 2 deliveries so far from this, his second, 2 runs rather from this, his second, with only 2 balls remaining in this over.
And even if the batsmen try to get some kind of a move on, those rank turners put so much doubt in their mind.
Completely. So here we go again. Big hit. Where does this go? I think he's got enough of it. Zenith Fowler only watches it sail over his head at long on. So the second 6 off of Nurse. Bit of a commentator's curse. Here's Ashley Nurse getting it too straight. I think the line was the problem on that occasion. Even if the ball turned from there, you're still turning it back into the hitting zone of Umer Mir. So taking full advantage of that, what I think is not the best of deliveries that Ashley Nurse could have bowled. So he's going to want to aim more toward off stump. And here he is again from around the wickets. Slower through the air, and again on that line that he wants to bowl. That off stump line is the one I think where he'll have more success bowling to the right-hander. So just 9 runs off that over. Ashley Nurse's 2 overs so far have cost him 23 runs. He'll want to tighten that up In the meantime, after 14, the score is 7-3 for 2.
1, 2, 3.
So back live and over number 15 of the Chicago Blasters innings. Ashley Nurse's 2 overs have gone for 22. So that's some reprise in comparison to what the other bowlers have brought on.
Well, Gatipali, by comparison, his 1 over has cost 3 runs. He will be bowling to the left-handed Mohamed Wakas. Again, Mohamed Wakas, a very dangerous customer with the bat. Extra bounce. Oh, my goodness. Does not carry down to gully where that fielder is running around to his left. But there's that delivery again, and there's that spot. That spot just on a good length is where both bowlers bowling both spin and pace are finding extra bounce.
He was also looking to go inside out over covers, but just the bounce on that delivery, I think he got totally misplaced and top edged it. Luckily, it fell in no one's land. These two have built a steady partnership since the fall of that second wicket at 28, that of Shahir's. They've put on close to 50 runs, 47 to be precise.
Well, that's exactly what Chicago needed. We spoke about the fact that they just needed to battle. And I think these two have taken on the challenge and are scoring. Now it seems like scoring is coming a little bit easier as this ball is just knocked into the outfield for a single. So if they continue along this path, exactly at the rate at which they're scoring now, 5.23 and over, they will get to 105. 105 you would think would be on the low side of what they'd be looking for. If this pair stays there, they can accelerate up to, I would think, 6 or 7 runs and over, which would get them more in the 115 range. Oh, a huge hit. I'll tell you what, if they keep doing that, they'll get past 115. This ball by Wakas is stroked beautifully over the top of long on for the first 6, I believe. No, second 6 hit by Mohamed Wakas.
And what I've seen in that last over and this one is whenever the bowlers, the spinners in particular, have gone full, that's allowed the batsman to get under the bowl. When they've pulled their length slightly back, it puts that doubt in their mind with that bounce and turn. But again, just like Ashley Nurse's last delivery in the previous over and this one from Karthik, tossing it up right to the bat, right under the batsman's eyes, and that gives them that good option to come down and swing those arms and get that elevation.
And if I were to be slightly critical of that delivery by Karthik Gatipali, maybe just a touch too straight. So as a left-handed spinner, I'm told, you will achieve success by aiming it off stump and having it leave the batters. That one is on middle stump. So pretty easy strike down the ground for Mohamed Wakas. And this occasion, just punching it down the ground to Ashley Nurse down at long off for single.
We all tend to be so humble, Brian. We have been branding ourselves as pacers, but we might as well have qualified in that spin category, just bowling off a short run-up.
Well, even when I was playing and I called myself a pacer, I basically was told I was a left-arm orthodox spinner. So I'm the orthodox spinner who doesn't spin the ball, put it that way. Gatipali again. Oh, that's the delivery we're talking about on that spot. It bounces on that good length spot, and even though Maramir did well to keep it down and they still ran a single, the reality is that you're not going to score big, I don't think, if they keep the ball on that spot. I'm glad that you highlighted that, Munir, because if it's too full, then you absolutely get hit, as Mohamed Wakas did. But keeping it short of a length is the way to go. And just forcing this one off the back foot now. That is down to Ashley Nurse again at mid-off, long off rather. Another single that closes things out here in the 15th. After 15, the score is 84 for 2.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
So we are back live in over number 16. As we were saying that our threshold of spin is probably going to be up to the over number 17th, as I anticipate Ilyas to be bowling 18 and 20 and Hassan to be bowling 19. And coming back to that point, Brian, or point of discussion from last over, that length is never going to allow the batters to get under the ball and get that elevation. And to the left-hander, you also saw Hassan Rashid placed 20 feet inside the boundary right in front of a commentary box. Reason being, Usman is expecting him to go for a slog sweep and top edge it straight up in the air, and that's really the area where the ball might land. So interesting thinking and good reading of the pitch by Usman as well.
I would completely agree with you as Usman Rafiq himself takes up the attack from the highway end, hammered to extra cover. Nobody out there. Couple of bounces and goes away for 4. So that might be the first poor delivery bowled by Usman Rafiq. Just dragged down and no protection out there in the deep at extra cover.
Also, the fact that it seemed Ashley Nurse was in a short attacking cover position. Usman has now pushed him to the 30-yard. Might have had a chance if he was right on the edge of the circle. Given over number 16 is in progress, you might want to have your fielders on the edge of the 30-yard, which is exactly what Usman Rafiq has done.
Completely agree with you. So now Mohamed Waqas striking it above 100 for the first time. He's now 30 from 29. Usman Rafiq, very full Yorker length delivery and forced down to long on by Mohamed Waqas. So you expect Mohamed Waqas to score runs. It's not surprising if he can score runs off of the off spinner. But one thing to bear in mind when Usman Rafiq is bowling, that he's over the last several months developed a very good dusra. So he has the ability to take the ball away from the right-handed batter. And of course, his natural action as a right-handed off spinner will be taking the ball away from the left-handed Umair Mir. Umair Mir now striking it 28 from 34.
And again, we see Hassan Rashid about 20 feet, about 12 to 13 yards inside the boundary, right in front of her comm box. So that's for the slog sweep. And as this is just short of length with the turn, the batter Umair Mir tries to cut it, but it goes straight to point and a dot ball.
I think it will be interesting to see the different moving parts. So Usman Rafiq, he is now into his 3rd over. Continuing in bowl, there's that bounce again. Quick run, throw shy down at the non-striker's end, and then my goodness, they're going to concede a 2nd run. Usman Rafiq, his body language suggests that he is not happy with having conceded an extra run there.
One of the rare occasions for Usman where he hasn't picked up a wicket 16 balls into a spell.
Wow.
Wickets have been falling in his footsteps left and right and center.
Completely.
But I wonder if he's going to bowl out today, or like we have been second guessing that those seamers might come in to close the innings.
I would have to think that he would bowl himself out, even with Ashley Nurse. Ashley Nurse has 2 more overs left. But Usman Rafiq, this tremendous bowler that he is, tremendous captain that he is, I think he would take the bull by the horns and bowl himself out.
What he might have to do in case if he wants to bowl himself out is to bring Ilyas in the next over, as this one is tossed up and nicely slog swept right between those 2 fielders. We were saying that Hassan Rashid was waiting for the top edge. It didn't come on this occasion. That was beautifully middled by Umair Mir.
Well, looking at the replay, you're exactly right. Middling it it's honestly swept that off of middle stump. An element of risk there, but in the end, he got it off the middle of the bat and it ran away for 4. So that is the end of 16 overs, just 4 remaining, and the score is 95 for 2.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
So even if they lose and they end up on the same point, this is huge deficit to overcome.
95 for 2, and I have just been taken to school by somebody who knows a lot more about this stuff than me. Munir, please explain to the folks what Houston might be thinking as they get towards the back end of Chicago's innings and start preparing for their own.
So Houston, the way the season has turned based on the heroics of one Usman Rafiq, they're sitting at 5 wins out of 11 games. So with their last 3 games, what they cannot afford to do is drop any points. And if they do end up getting all those wins, they still need to rely on Chicago Tigers dropping a number of points. And at the same time, they've got a negative net run rate of 0.28, whereas Chicago is positive 0.47. So for Houston Hurricanes to qualify, they've got to do 2 things. First, win all their games. No questions asked.
Yeah.
That's the base
Bare
condition.
minimum. Bare minimum.
Bare minimum. And the next thing they need to do is improve that net run rate, which is going to be tricky given the huge deficit. But they can only put the best foot forward. As like I was saying in the last over, for Usman to bowl out, he will have to bring Ilyas so that Ilyas bowls overs number 17 and 19, and Usman can bowl 18, and Hassan can finish number 20th. So that's exactly what's happening now.
Mohamed Ilyas back into the attack. Full, my goodness, a full toss driven right back by the outstretched right arm of Ilyas. That was almost a spectacular cotton ball chance. Just a single down the ground in the end. Look at the replay. That was maybe a foot away from his arm. And Ashley Nurse in the deep cleaning up. So Mohamed Ilyas tends at the back end of the innings to go Yorker bouncer. So I would expect, especially now to the left-handed Omer Mir, and he's bowling over the wicket, I would not be surprised if this is a bouncer. That's the pattern that he's shown thus far this season. Oh, not quite. Just looking to cut that ball. He might have taken pace out of that ball a little bit and cut into the ground, but Sakleen Hader, excellent keeper, doing his best to clean up. It's just a dot ball, a very precious commodity at this stage of the innings.
Also, with his Yorkers, we have seen he tends to be pretty decently accurate, barely loses his bearing. So even if he misses it slightly, it ends up being more or less low full toss, which was the first delivery of the over.
Yes.
That's why it was catchable, because it was hit straight down, but he could have stuck a hand and got it. As he continues, again, rolls his fingers, it seems, slightly slower, and a direct hit from short third man. Umpire says they're in, and the ball rolls too long on, and they get a second for overthrows.
Wow. So 2 runs. If you, Munir, made me cricket god for a day, the one rule that I would change is if there is a direct hit, there can be no runs that are run after that. Because essentially, you're punishing the fielding side for being accurate. That just direct hit from that short backward, that short third man position, and unfortunately they concede an extra run. But Mohamed Ilyas again, there's the short ball. That ball landed maybe at the 5-yard mark, and it bounced it was so far away from the batter that by the time that it got to the keeper, it had bounced the second time. So clearly a wide ball, as you see there on the replay. So not only does it concede a run, but it's also one short ball for the over. So yes, I mentioned that he likes bowling that short ball, mixing it in with his Yorkers. I don't think he's going to want to bowl another one that short. Oh, good delivery. There is that spot that has been playing havoc, or wreaking havoc rather, on the batters from this end.
And his bouncers, interestingly, are always, or more or less in most cases, the slower bouncers. He likes to roll his fingers and the ball sets up in the pitch. But given these conditions, I wouldn't think of bowling anything other than that back of length. It's so hard to get under and get that distance. The batsmen are almost clueless about that delivery.
Well, you know, no disrespect to Ryan Bagani, who got good bounce from that length, but Mohamed Ilyas is a much quicker bowler than Bagani. So if he hits that same spot, oh, look at this shot. Oh, my goodness. Oh, but he's caught. What a catch. That is Usman. Is that Usman? No, it's Ramiz Raja. Down there on the boundary. What a catch taken. A tremendous amount of work. Off the bat, I thought that was 6. But Ramiz Raja had other ideas.
I'm calling it right now. Number 1 on the week and highlights on the MLC reel.
Wow.
What a brilliant catch. He's up in the air, leaps off the toes, airborne. That had 6 written on it. Ramiz Raja had no business interfering that ball. And what makes the situation worse is there have been very few full half-volley deliveries. He got one beautifully timed it over covers, but then there was one Ramiz Raja willing to change that script.
I'll tell you what, if you see his body language, you would have thought that it was landing in the other field. Okay, here's another bit of honesty. I lost the ball coming off the bat. As you see here on the replay, his body language says, I just nailed that 100 yards. But down at the boundary, Ramiz Raja taking it easily and then pointing at Mohamed Ilyas saying, yep, I got your back.
What's also happening is there's a pile of boxes of balls just to the left of us on the window, blocking that sweeper cover view. And for the last few overs, I've been thinking of moving it. As this is Ilyas goes full and just misses his bearings down the leg side, goes for a wide. He seems to suggest to the umpire that it hit or brushed the pads. The umpire, Altaf, doesn't seem to think so.
No. And, you know, even from 75 yards away, just from our vantage point, that just looked like a wide down leg side to me.
Yeah.
101 for 3. We neglected to acknowledge the 100 being up. That's a huge psychological advantage to Chicago because they have another 3 overs after this one. This is the last ball coming up here in the 17th. Another 3 overs to inflict some more damage. Flashing outside off and not making any contact. So that is the end of the over. The new batter is Pankaj Kample. Pankaj Kample not able to get any bat on that. 3 remaining. The score is 101 for 3.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Well, Munir, if your career as an all-around tech guru and part-time commentator doesn't work out, you can go be a cricket captain because I think the script is developing exactly the way that you called it. Captain Usman Rafiq is now on for the 18th. You would think that Mohamed Ilyas would bowl 19th, and I would absolutely not disagree with you that a logical candidate to bowl the 20th would be Hassan Rashid.
Also, the fact that Usman is currently number 2 in the highest wicket taker standings. You cannot afford to let go of 6 deliveries, which might result in or have in the past 3 or 4 wickets for him.
Yep.
As Usman bowls it straight into the pitch, wicket to wicket. The batsman tried to sweep it, but only toe ends it straight back to the bowler.
Good start here by Usman Rafiq. Again, tremendous bowler, of course.
He's been too good to get wickets today. Has beat the bat so many times. None for 20 and 3 doesn't tell you. Oh, there you go. The commentator's curse.
goodness. The commentator's curse strikes again. Usman Rafiq knocking back the middle stump of Umair Mir. Here you see on the replay. Dead straight, right down Broadway. Big strike and a miss by Umair Mir. So both set batters have now been dismissed. And unfortunately for the Chicago Blasters, they are decelerating horribly towards the back end of their innings. They are now at 101 for 4.
Two thoughts, Brian. The first one, that although Chicago Blasters had a lot of wickets in hand, given how this pitch is, it won't necessarily account towards acceleration because the new batsman walking in, it's not going to be easy to just get going right from the word go. Second point, Usman gave it a lot of good revs and flight, and he would have expected that ball to turn, but it did not, and that resulted in the wicket. Sometimes you have to get unlucky to be lucky, and that's exactly the case there for Usman Rafiq.
Oh, my goodness. Usman Rafiq, boy, you know, they say good things happen to good people. Usman Rafiq, you and I both have known Usman for several years. Just a tremendous, tremendous individual. And just even off the cricket field, one of the most humble and one of the most favorite players here in the Houston area. But when you combine that with tremendous cricketing ability with both ball and bats, you sort of have the complete package. Now bowling to Jay Patel, another left-hander. Oh, look at this. This might be close. Appeal for stumping. Boy, that back leg was in the air for a minute. Rapid piece of work by Saqlain Haider. Look at the replay. It'll be interesting to see how close this was to being a stumping. What a great delivery. Look at that turn. My goodness. Of course, we're shielded slightly by Samir Bandekar, umpire Samir Bandekar. So we didn't see exactly where that would have passed at the moment that it was collected by Saqlain Haider. But more to the point, it's another dot ball. So he's now, Usman Rafiq, working on the wicket maiden. In the air, does he have another one? He does! Oh, look at this. Usman Rafiq on fire again at the back end of the innings. Zenith Fowler coming in off the boundary, and another wicket taken. Jay Patel goes without scoring. The score is now 101 for 5.
I want to pull stats of how many wickets Usman has taken in his over number 4.
Oh, my goodness.
There was no way he was going to give up on bowling that over number 4. He's taken about 70% of his wickets in that very over, if I'm not wrong. And interestingly, Brian, the thing about Usman, you brought up the topic. I woke up this morning, as we all do. First thing, we pull up our phone, and I saw an article published on CricBus about Usman Rafiq. I read through the entire article, a story of resilience, self-discipline, and coming over what life throws at you. The season Usman Rafiq is having, all of us in the Houston local cricket community who have known this person for the last 10 years, it's been heartwarming. The cricketer he has been, the skill he brings, first of all, the skill that Usman possesses is ideal and well-suited for T20 cricket. And he's kind of, to me, in the mold of Moeen Ali or Ravindra Jadeja, comes in at 6-7, can finish an innings, gives you top 4 overs, and his performances speak for the player he is. Wonderful effort from Usman this season.
Oh, my goodness. And the motivation is all there. He and I had a really good conversation before this innings. I'll keep the contents of that conversation private, except to say that Usman Rafiq is one of the top players and people on the planet. Next delivery, struck right back, and Usman Rafiq himself deflects it but can't prevent a single. So the new batter is Mohit Patel. One Patel replacing another. Mohit Patel, the U19 player. Now Usman Rafiq will be bowling the last ball to Pankaj Kample. Defended to backward point for no run. What an over. The 4th over does the trick again for Usman Rafiq, as you pointed out, Munir. And after that last over by the captain, The score is 102 for 5.
2 wickets are low returns for Usman's standards, but we're going to come back in over number 19 after the short break.
Wow. Last 2 overs. Last over about to be bowled by Mohamed Ilyas. Mohamed Ilyas so far 3 overs, 1 for 18, so he's going exactly at the run of ball. And he will be bowling to Pankaj Kampli. Here's Ilyas. There's the Yorker. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, forget what you said earlier. This is going to be the highlight, not just of the day, of the season. How often have you ever seen a batter play a shot, the bat literally breaks in half, and there's string and cork and twine and everything all around the place? This obviously is going to be delaying proceedings.
Karthik Gathapalli does a good job of displaying what happened. And what's very interesting is I know a bit about bats, but the thing here is the handle broke.
Oh.
It didn't come off the splice because you could see that twine hanging or swerving in the air. The handle broke right through the middle. That's rare. That doesn't happen quite often. And what would have been the cherry on top was a throw came in as the batsman was inspecting what happened to his bat. And if it was a direct hit, I think he was in trouble. That might have been the highlight of highlights if that did happen.
Oh, my goodness. Look, Munir, I'm a little older than you. I've been watching cricket for pretty much all of my 54 years on this planet. I have never seen that happen, ever. That is fascinating. I've absolutely never seen that happen. The replay again. Here's Mohamed Ilyas again. Boy, wide outside off stump. Now, the other piece of the puzzle is that Mohamed Ilyas can go home tonight and say, yeah, I broke a guy's bat today. That's how hard I was bowling. I delivered and the bat broke. That's the pace I was bowling with.
Now, you know Pacers, Brian. I think they live for this kind of stuff. I broke a stump. I broke a bat. I injured a batsman. I think that's really the medals they want to collect. As Ilyas comes steaming in.
Oh, my goodness. A direct hit would have had him by a mile. But as it is, they get 2. And Mohamed Ilyas is absolutely not happy. Did not want to have conceded any runs there. Here you see on the replay. Struck well, struck toward extra cover, but directly to the captain, and he threw and completely not collected by Saqlain Haider, and in fact ricocheted enough far away enough for them to get 2.
Yeah, happened in the heat of the moment. Usman would wish he took a second and just threw the ball to Saqlain, who was charging in. As Ilyas continues. And this is short of length, that difficult length to get away. And this just lands comfortably between Ashley Nurse and Ramiz Raja, and they come back, scamper through for 2 runs.
2 more. So a few runs being scored here at the back end of the innings. Chicago is going to want to make sure that they bat all the way through, as they say in track and field, run through the tape. And you're going to want to make sure that you get as many runs on offer as possible. Currently, they're scoring at the rate of 5.78 and over. If they get to all the way to the end at the same rate, they'll be about at 116. I think they'll want to score at a slightly higher rate than that. But it will not be easy against Mohamed Ilyas. Here is again. Oh, just over the head of the bowler himself again. This is Ashley Nurse. They come back testing his arm. That's good work by the 2 batters.
Again, that bat breaker kind of a length.
Oh, yeah.
Toe ended to long on, and they were able to. The fact that they didn't middle it kind of worked in their favor, gave them a chance to come back for the second.
I think you're exactly right. Had that been middle, it would have carried all the way down to Ashley Nurse and he would not have had, I cannot speak, he he would not have had as much work to do to get to that ball, as it is 3 consecutive doubles here. 2 balls remaining in the 19th. Oh my goodness, this is clipped down to square leg. Thick inside edge. Good throw right over the keeper's gloves, or into the keeper's gloves at the striker's end.
Like we were saying in that last over, given what the pitch is doing of just short of good length, Ilyas has very quickly understood the script here, and he has not tried any of those slow bouncers in this over. He's bowling a very full length, just trying to pull it slightly back so that the batsman cannot get under. But he's been consistent with his Yorkers too most of the time as he comes steaming in again.
Struck right back past the keeper. They might go for 2 again. In fact, no, he interestingly turned down that second run. Comes into the non-striker's end. So just a single, excuse me, to close things out here in the 19th. 9 runs coming from that over. And the score at the end of 19 is 1-1-1 for 5. The late David Shepherd is hopping around furiously on one leg in heaven. 1 over to go. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3.
Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. Dafa News, our official sponsor, and Dafa News will want, I would think, to highlight the bat being broken as the play of the day. I don't know what you think when you're, or maybe they want to highlight a specific player, maybe.
I think the catch from Ramiz and the bat breaking are 2 incidents in this innings that definitely would catch some eyes. But interestingly, what we were accounting for was Hassan Rashid to bowl the last over. But Usman has taken a brave call here, going for Karthik.
Interesting. Karthik Gatipal, left arm spinner. Oh my goodness, a huge swipe and a miss. Now, the thinking here would be 2 right-handers, relatively new to the crease. The left-handers turning the ball away from both of them. So I actually like the move completely. So here's Gatipali again. Slow through the air, thick outside edge. They'll get a single that will not bother the Hurricanes one bit as Ashley Nurse cleans up at short third man.
Yeah, and interestingly, Brian, you're absolutely right. What might also be encouraging this decision is even if he tosses it up and throws it up right under the batsman arc, the ball is turning quite a bit. That's exactly what happened on this delivery. It's not easy to make contact. Almost a stumping there for Sutline header.
Yes, exactly. So the last 4 balls of the innings coming up. Karthik Gatipali around the wicket. Oh, this is, speaking of almost a stumping, this is what you were looking for the left-handed spinner to turn the ball away from the right-handed batter. Pankaj Kample finding himself down the wicket, sold down the river. As Danny Morrison says, he went out to get the milk and the door closed behind him. So another wicket goes down, well down the wicket. Look at the turn on that. As the replay shows, don't know if Roddy can show that to us again, but that was tremendous, tremendous turn. Here we go.
Ronnie answers the call.
Here we go, around the wicket, slanted in. Look at that ball turn, and he knew he was gone. He didn't even bother trying to get back in because I think the plan, everything that Usman Rafiq has done in the last few weeks has turned to gold. Another great decision to bring the left-handed spinner Karthik Gatipali to bowl the 20th over. So Chicago is now 112 for 6. Just 3 balls remaining in the innings.
And boy, haven't we been on a roll in the commentary box. Almost calling the action as it's happened in this innings.
I'm thinking we should get credit for at least 2 wickets. At least 2 wickets so far.
And, yeah, the batsmen, you saw that coming. They have no choice but to try and get to the pitch. Karthik is going to toss it knowing that it's going to turn.
So Humayun Ahmadzai is the new batter. Off the back foot. Oh, that gets through Usman Rafiq. That could easily. Here's the throw coming in. That's a direct hit. That is the direct hit. What is the decision? Have they get? Oh, yep. In fact, it was so far out that Altaf Maisani did not even bother raising the finger. So that throw came in from 65 yards away. Direct hit, one bounce, two bounces, and knocks back the one stump that he had to aim at. Here you see on the replay, gets through Usman Rafiq, but here's the throw, flat, a bullet-like throw, and bang, nowhere close. That is given. My goodness, what a piece of work in the deep. And another wicket goes down.
We're making it so hard for the MILC highlight reel team. 3 instances now which could all potentially qualify for this week's highlights. But a flat arm throw.
Oh.
Very interesting way of throwing the ball, almost like a boomerang.
Yep.
And it literally floated in the air on almost bad bounce for Suckland, but hits the top of the stumps.
Wow.
Brilliant work as Karthik continues. Ahmadzai is the new batsman.
Reverse sweep. Oh, my goodness. Missed the reverse sweep. The ball trickled and passed maybe within a whisker of the stumps. Looking at this replay there. Oh, it just missed that off stump by a half an inch probably. A dot ball. So now 1 ball left in the innings. And going off the back foot and missing. So what a great over by Karthik Gatapali. 2-run score in the 20th. 2 wickets taken. So Houston does a tremendous job to pull things back here at the back end of the innings. Here we see the scorecard. Awazia 9, Shahir Hassan 14. Good partnership between Mohammad Wakas and Amir Mir, 32 and 37 respectively. But things sort of fall apart after that. And they only end up with 113. And here we see a couple of highlights. Here's the first wicket. The ball lofted in the air. Zenith Fowler taking a simple catch at deep backward square. And this is Hassan Rashid. Short delivery. Awazia only able to get that into the safe hands of Karthik Gatapali at mid-on. Mohammad Wakas joining the fun as this ball is struck in the air. Look at this catch. Certainly taking 6 runs away from the batter on that occasion. And here's now the captain into the attack. What a great delivery. Straight down Broadway. Knocks back the middle stump. And again, the next delivery lofted in the air. And another good running catch taken by Zenith Fowler. And then a couple of wickets towards the back end of the innings. Karthik Gatapali. His first one just well down the wicket and nobody home. Easy stumping. And then this might have been the most impressive of all the wickets. A direct hit from about 60 yards away. And that knocks back the stumps. Bowling card. Most of the bowlers bowled well. Ashley Nurse conceding 11 runs and over, but everyone else keeping it relatively tight. Usman Rafiq, 2 for 21, the pick of the bowlers. And so the equation is pretty straightforward for Houston. They need another 114. And here we see just a few lofted, or here a few big hits. One lofted for 6 by Mohammad Wakas. This one was nailed pretty solidly, sailing over long on for 6. Gatapali attacking him and driven down the ground in the gap and in fact over the head of that fielder at wide long on. Those were the 6s. So a fair amount of action, Munir, but the equation for Houston is pretty simple. 114 runs in 120 balls. They'll, as you mentioned, they might want to look to get it in more rapid fashion than that. But a short break coming up, and in the next, let's say 15 minutes or so, we'll be back to resume this game. For now, signing off from Prairie View. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex. That little rushed meal was a little too spicy for me, Munir. Excuse me. But the Houston Hurricanes are 114 runs away from victory after a good spirited piece of work in the field, restricting Chicago to 113 runs. And the openers are out in the middle, Ramiz Raja and Munib Chowdhury.
Good afternoon to all our viewers and listeners on the Willow and MILC network on YouTube's and your Willow apps. 114, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of approach the Hurricanes come up with. We've been second guessing that they might be going hell for leather, given that they have an eye on that net run rate. I resisted the urge to go and poke around their team dugout to just see what the chats were. Takes away the thrill of being the voice for this game. But I'm super interested to see what approach this pair takes, as interestingly, I see in the far end over the horizon a few thunders in the air. And would be pretty interesting to see if it moves towards us in the next half an hour or so as the first ball of the game, of the innings, comes in.
That is young Mohit Patel opening the bowling from the forest end. First delivery to Ramiz Raja just dropped into the offside for a single. So Chicago, again, have not had much success this year, but obviously they're going to want to make a good account for themselves. And importantly for them, runs are on the board on a pitch that seems to be playing a few tricks and that has offered additional bounce to the seamers. And good delivery here by young Mohit Patel, just defended awkwardly on that occasion by Munib Chowdhury for no run.
And very interestingly, Brian, Mohit Patel, a young customer, seems to be quite nippy, good action, but what he has done straight away from delivery one of his spell is taken a leaf out of the bowling of the Houston Hurricanes. Straight away goes for that short of good length, trying to bowl just around the top of the stumps, getting the ball to Dreyer as he comes in for his third. Down the leg side, and as all bowlers tend to do when they spill it, tries to deflect the umpire, but Altaf was pretty confident that it didn't flick the pads, and a wide is called.
So, Munir, in baseball, they always talk about the battery. The battery is the pitcher and the catcher. Well, the battery here, the keeper and the bowler are both U19 players. Keeping is young Ayush Thakur. So it's really encouraging. Just stepping away from this specific game and just think bigger picture. You have a U19 player opening the bowling and a U19 keeper with the stumps in a semi-professional setup. That augurs really, really well for cricket going forward.
Absolutely, Brian. And although the Chicago Blasters team sheet wouldn't speak for a lot of big names, as Patel continues. Nicely back off a length. It's nudged by Munib Chowdhury to third man. Goes across for a single. So besides the likes of Owezia and Shahir Hassan, you won't see a lot of big names from the U.S. circuit. And the reason being, they are testing out a lot of their youngsters. And although the results don't speak for them, but what they've invested in could reap big benefits in the years to come for this franchise.
That augurs well just for development. It speaks volumes, excuse me, that you can actually put together a side that, while they've not won very much, are really competitive in the games they are playing. And look at this youngster bowling that good hard length to Ramiz Raja, hitting the bat high up on the splice. That's that same length delivery that caused so much trouble in the Houston innings when they were in the field. Raja on just this occasion just defending it into the covers for no run. So one ball remaining here in the first over. Good start by Mohit Patel. Really good start. Very encouraging to see. And those of us who are include or invested in development really love seeing this develop. Last delivery just forced down to long on. It's going to be a single to close things out here in the first. Again, great start by young Mohit Patel. That warms my heart. That really does warm my heart. At the end of one, the score is 4 without loss. Four without loss, Munir. I'm taking a look here at the radar. The radar seems to suggest that a couple of showers are going to come close to our area around 5:30. Maybe just a passing shower or two, and then the threat dissipates after that. So if the radar is to be believed, the projected radar, we may have an interruption sometime in the next 4 or 5 overs, but if there is an interruption, it should be temporary, you would think. You would think.
And from what I'm seeing where we are located, it's coming in from the southeast side of Houston, diagonally right towards 290. And it's moving in at quite a pace based on what the radar just showed us. As the second over starts.
Oh, no ball to start out with. Oh, my goodness. That's not going to be a good start by the young left-arm pacer. We'll get you his name here shortly. But he oversteps, and umpire Samir Bandaker pointing out to him what his mistake was. The last thing that Chicago needed to do defending a small total is to give any chances, and it appears that a chance for a free hit has been given. So you would think that Munib Chowdhury will welcome this free hit. That is Quadri. Will welcome this free hit with open arms. Here we go. In the air, clears the out, or clears the infield rather. Few bounces, runs away to extra cover for 4. So expensive start. 5 runs from the over so far from one official delivery. And that bowler is...
It seems it's Abdullah Qadri, left arm over. And
Abdullah Qadri, yeah.
And although he hard luck for him that he starts with a no ball, I'm loving the action and this the approach to the crease. It looks like the way he's loading up into his delivery stride, he should be getting decent movement into the right-hander. But when you start with a no ball, all of that goes for a toss.
You're exactly right. I'll say more after this delivery. Good full delivery, but maybe a little too straight. Well, if you have the ability to swing it, you want to bowl it full. And as a recovering left-arm fast bowler myself, just looking at the angle, his angle is good. I like the load up. And there's actually a decent amount of swing. He just started it out on the wrong line. If he bowls that exact same delivery, starts it on the 4th stump line, he is in business. So I would just love to see him just angle, just adjust the radar to be just more outside off stump. Either aim it directly at off stump or at the 4th stump and get that same amount of swing, he'll be in business. Here we go. In the air, oh my goodness, just piercing the gap between cover and extra cover, running away for 4. So he's bowling a full length. But if he's going to persist bowling that length and that line, he may consider dropping mid-off back to long-off because the last 4 runs, the last 8 runs rather, have gone exactly in that direction. Here we see again, that one on that occasion not getting much swing. It's just basically a straight delivery outside off, easily put away by Chowdhury.
And
by Raja, sorry.
And in order to compensate for that swing and end up on the stumps, like you said, Brian, he has to start on that 4th and 5th stump line. But if he doesn't get the seam nicely shaping towards the batsman, it's going to hold its line, and that gives, I'll come to this point, he spills it down the leg side. The keeper dives to compensate for the swing, a wide and a bye. So 2 runs on that delivery. Coming to the point as... which I was talking of to extend what you said, Brian. If that ball doesn't swing, then it just sets up perfectly for these batsmen to free their arms, which we have seen on 2 occasions now.
You're exactly right. So I see a lot to work with here with young Quadri. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly.
Thereabout.
Thereabouts.
Kadri.
Kadri. But in the context of this game, he's going to want to be a little bit less expensive. Target that off stump. Here he is again, left arm over the wicket. Again going down the leg side. Again conceding another run. So you see, you mentioned the point. If we want to discuss the art of swing bowling, if that seam is angled as a left armer, if the seam is angled towards fine leg, very, very fine leg, and you release it just pushing the ball through, then you get that little bit of in-swing back into the right-hander. If he's having trouble controlling that, and in the last couple of deliveries it's gone down the leg side, in fact, 3 of the 4 deliveries in this over already have gone down the leg side, he may consider just going cross seam or just straight seam up and just making sure he finds the right line first before he starts trying to find that swing again. Here he is again. That's a good delivery. Bang on target. That's short of length. That time he wasn't worried about swing. He just wanted to get it in that right area, and well defended by Chowdhury.
Very true, Brian. Wonderful analysis. I have to give you credit for what you said in the first innings.
I told you. Again, don't ask me anything about spin, but I can tell you a little bit about pace.
And the humbleness in our friends from the Caribbean islands, the fact that you've got the likes of Sunil Narayan, Samuel Badri, Akil Hussain now, these are proponents of spin.
Right.
As Abdullah comes in and another wide. This has been a long over. He's just bowled 3 deliveries so far. But the likes of Sunil Narayan, Samuel Badri, Akil Hussain off late, these are the players who have set benchmarks in T20 bowling.
Correct.
So besides the likes of the 4 horsemen and that celebrated fast bowling lineup, the full cabinet of trophies, and they've earned the Caribbean cricket over the years, the spinners have come to their own party in T20 cricket.
I would agree with that, with this exception. Remember that the West Indies is just a region. It's not a country. So all the bowlers you just mentioned are all from Trinidad in the Southeast Caribbean. Jamaica is as far northwest from Trinidad as you can get. Let's just say it's completely different. This is well played into the outfield for a single. So all of the bowlers you just mentioned, Trinidad I think is much more conducive to not only being able to bowl spin, but being able to play spin. So you have a name that you might have heard of, Brian Charles Lara, from the country of Trinidad, probably the best player of spin, for my money, in the world in the last 30 years. You remember what he would have done to Matai Muralitharan in Sri Lanka, I forget the year, probably 2003. Further up northwest in the Caribbean, we don't play or bowl spin that well. So we tend to lean on the memories of the Michael Holdings and the Patrick Pattersons and the Courtney Walshes, and a name that I don't know that you'd have ever heard of. It's a no. Going back to this game, it's a free hit. Completely missed that.
As much as I was enjoying that conversation, this seems to get bad to worse for Abdullah Qadri. Second no ball.
Yeah.
I'm counting 4 wides. He's gone for 16 and 4 deliveries. Oof. And it's Ramiz Raja facing the second free hit from Qadri.
Full toss, and it gets the treatment. Oh, does it get the treatment? Well over mid-wicket for the first 6 of the innings. The body language of Ramiz Raja tells you that he knew that he hit it. Look at this replay. Look at Ramiz Raja. Look at his body language after he hits that. He knows that he absolutely belted it. The next time that ball lands, it's a little bit closer to where the rain is coming from than where the pitch is. And a very expensive over continues here with 1 ball to come.
The ability to swing the new ball in T20 cricket is a trait which is a huge blessing.
Yes.
But if you cannot use it to your benefit, then it could also be a curse, which we are seeing on this occasion. The likes of Jason Holder, Bhuvneshwar Kumar come to mind as Qadri comes in.
Just dropped into the leg side for a single. So really expensive over there. Ball by Kadri. 23 runs coming from that over. He can be and will be, I think, a much better bowler than what was shown on that occasion. After 2, the score is 27 without loss. Yeah. Back here, Prairie View, Mohit Patel to continue his second over. First ball is to bowl his second over. First ball just dropped behind square for a single. So, Munir, when you and I get together, we start reminiscing and calling names and forgetting about the game that we're actually supposed to be covering. But the names that you just called, and the last thing I was going to say, one name that you probably would not have heard of, Roy Gilchrist.
Roy Gilchrist.
Roy Gilchrist played in the era between Wes Hall and, I'm really dating myself now, Wes Hall and Charlie Griffith, and the Michael Holdings and the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. He was the quickest bowler that we had, but he was also the most ill-disciplined bowler that we had, which is why you've not heard of him. Because if you have somebody who is as patient and such a calming influence as Frank Worrell, who was our first black captain, first permanent black captain, Frank Worrell eventually had enough of him and kicked him off the team because he had no discipline, including going after a teammate with a knife once. That's a different story. We'll talk about that another time as this ball is dropped down to third man for a single. So, getting back to this game, Houston has started out well here, 29 without loss. They only need another 85 runs. I'll leave it to people who are as smart as you to figure out the permutations as far as the run rate is concerned. But in terms of winning the game, they only need to go at the rate of 4.8 runs and over from here. And Mohit Patel is looking to make things difficult for them. Well defended by Ramiz Raja. You see that same spot. The ball is still bouncing, but look at the difference. The difference is that Ramiz Raja is getting forward and covering the bounce. So more to the point that we were talking about earlier, if much of your cricket is played on artificial surfaces, then this might be a skill that escapes you. But in the context of being able to learn the pitch and sort of being able to accommodate the ball coming off of it, as he did there, you just see him play with just very soft hands, smothers the bounce, keeps it down. This is a class in batsmanship by Ramiz Raja. Again, you can experience good batsmanship even when you're not scoring runs.
Wonderful point, Brian. And I think we touched upon this subject in the first innings. The biggest difference I'm seeing here is mental adaptiveness.
Boom.
He has made up his mind based on what he saw, what the ball is going to do. As Metul Patel comes in, wide down the leg side. I think they've sprayed about 8 to 9 wides in 2.5 overs, which just doesn't help the cause when you're defending 113.
Correct.
But coming back to the subject of Ramiz Raja, he knows what the ball is going to do. He knows what the target is. And if you saw that replay, I spoke about this also in the first innings, trying to do something out of the box to unsettle that length. If you're going to show frustration and throw your arms at every delivery, you're letting the bowler know that you're already you've lost half the battle. As this is a short delivery, beautifully.
Oh my goodness! What should have been 1 goes for 4. That does not feel good if you are Mohit Patel. Easily just struck directly to that fielder in the deep at square leg. Good shot, good short ball. And here you see he got everything covered, it seems like. Even gave it the long boundary, and it went right through the legs. So he's not going to want to see that replay. That would be Humayun Ahmadzai. Last ball of the over, just defended by Ramiz Raja. So you're absolutely right. This is just good, solid batsmanship, showing adaptability, showing the ability to take control of the situation, and defending here to end the third over. After 3, the score is 34 without loss.
We'll come back to Ramiz in the next over. I've got an interesting analysis on it. And it's getting closer.
Oh, yeah.
Is it blocking your view? You're
Oh, no.
seeing the thunderstorm?
Yeah. What's coming from?
Yeah.
34 without loss. Munir, again, I'm just a pretty face. You're the one with the cricket knowledge. So tell us what you picked up here.
So, the discussion about
Wait,
Ramiz.
I am the pretty face, right?
We'll share the honors. I wouldn't concede right away. I'm happy sharing the honors. The wife agrees. As there's a change in bowling, Umar Mir has replaced that first disastrous over from Abdullah Qadri. Umar Mir also put an anchor during the batting innings and got them to a respectable or semi-respectable total. The point I was making, Brian, is our analysis of Ramiz. First, we said that he has mentally prepared himself for the ball to misbehave.
Mm-hmm.
The pull shot you saw, he was totally in control. Rocking back, as I'm going to come back to that point after this delivery, nicely driven by Muneeb, but the fielder at short cover, puts in a good effort, keeps that down to a dot ball. The reason he was able to rock back and pull that ball with such control as compared to the hoiks and throwing of bats and gloves from the previous openers from the Chicago Blasters was that mental aspect. He has built zones in his mind that if the ball lands in this zone, I have to defend because it's going to rear and I don't have enough time to go back and dispatch it. Mm-hmm. That ball was too short. He had enough time to comfortably go back and pull it, roll his wrists. So an experienced player like Ramiz, what makes you different and that extraordinary batsman is the ability to judge and come with a game plan and improvise right then and there. Wonderful batting from Ramiz Raja.
It is so important. Everything that you just said is right on point. Oh, this is cut away beautifully. Oh, what a cricket shot. What a cricket shot. Just back and cutting that one. It was less about force and more about timing. And placed it just behind point, and that ball racing away for 4. What a beautiful shot.
Just so much poise there. Waits on the ball. Again, I think the senior partner talking to him, understanding the pitch and the conditions. Mm-hmm. And Muneeb does so well as the next delivery is bowled. And umpire signals it wide. My apologies. We first saw Umar Mir's name as the new bowler, but it's actually Owezia.
Okay, got it. Owezia, a good all-rounder. He's achieved much more success with the ball than you would think. Generally known as a batter, of course, a top-order batter. But Owezia has really had good results with the ball against the Golden State Grizzlies. Picked up 2 wickets as this ball is lofted in the air. How far does this go? Couple of bounces out into the deep. Just 2 runs. So Owezia picked up 2 wickets against the Golden State Grizzlies a few weekends ago. And in the last match that they played against the Michigan Cricket Stars, picked up 1 for 12 in addition to top scoring with 40. So very handy with both ball and bats, as this is a dot ball. And unfortunately, Munir, off in the distance, you just saw a couple of peals of lightning.
Houston are racing to close this game before the first drops reach this facility.
I absolutely would think that. Oh.
And interestingly, a point we mentioned in the first innings, I noticed Muneeb is standing 8 to 10 inches outside of his crease. Mm-hmm. In his trigger movement, takes a back step, just disturbing the line and length as the over comes to a close. After 4, it's 41 for no loss.
Back here in Prairie View, the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco and our official sponsor, DAFA News. Short pounced on, just one bounce in front of square on the leg side for 4. So, Munir, over to our east, you can see the clouds building. You can see lightning flashing. There might be a thought here by Ramiz Raj to get this game over with.
Most definitely, and Houston have got the kind of start they would have wanted. I said we did not want to sneak into their dugout and see what the plans are, but we can most certainly say they're going after that net run rate as Patel continues. Drifts onto the pads. It's nicely worked by Ramiz. It's running down to the deep fine leg boundary. A couple of fielders converge, but they're coming through for third, and that's a direct wonderful throw.
It was not good running. It was not necessarily a direct hit, but collected by the keeper and whips the bails off in a flash. Oh, maybe that urgency to get the game over with was their downfall there. I thought there was 2. I didn't think there were 3. I was actually surprised to see them take off for the third. Good sliding stop in the deep and the throw. Here we see on the replay. Collected and whipping those bails off. That is a good piece of work by Chicago. And unfortunately for Houston, that is Munib Chowdhury, who has to take the long walk back to the pavilion. Only having scored 9 from 12, Houston is 45 for 1.
It seems Abdullah Qadri is wearing shirt number 5. Or it might be Humayu Ahmadzai. But that throw and that arm got me and the batsman. They both tried to run for the throw, but both of us were so surprised that the throw came like a bullet right on top of the stumps, and they caught Munib off guard. And that was a huge wicket. This was developing into quite a partnership for the Hurricanes.
It's a big wicket. As I mentioned, I'm surprised that they actually went for the third run. It was worked behind square, so you knew just from the placement that there was always going to be 2. I think 3 would have been a really tough ask. And Zenith Fowler, the big hitter from Westmoreland, Jamaica, is asked, I think, well played. And that's well bowled. A good attacking delivery by Mohit Patel. But Zenith Fowler, I think, has been sent in to see if he can accelerate the scoring rate. They're already scoring at the rate of 10.8, or 10 point. After that delivery, 10.4. But just looking at clues here, Munir, if you see all of the vehicles coming from the east, the lights are all on. So you know that it's raining and the rain is coming in this direction. Oh, Zenith Fowler, big wind up and a big swing at that one. I think he's looking to send that one over the side screen, only succeeding in getting a single. But I think the intentions for Houston here are clear.
Sherlockian investigative work by Brian. I wouldn't have noticed the headlights on and the fact they're coming in from east where the rain is supposedly approaching from. Brilliant, Brian. Enlightening to be in the same commentary box.
Here's Patel again. Well played by Ramiz Raja. Boy, Ramiz Raja can just package this inning. Whatever he scores, it does not matter what he scores. And he's right now 28 from 17. But whatever he ends up with, he can package this and show it to kids or to players who don't normally play on turf wickets. He's showing exactly how to handle a pitch that is being tricky.
It's a masterclass on batting on a difficult surface. There's no other word to put it. As Patel continues, and he comes down, and that's dismissed. It's sailing over our commentary box. Goes into field number 6. There's some retrieving that needs to be done. I've just come back from a dog show. I could help with that.
At the end of 5, the score is 54 for 1. We'll be right back. Back here at the dark, gloomy, dreary Prairie View. Brian Walters in the commentary box with Munir, the retriever. And Houston almost halfway to the total of 114. They're chasing 114, and they're now at 54. They're scoring at the rate of 10.8. They need, in order to win this game, to score at the rate of 4 and over, but I think they'll be looking for much, much more than that.
It seems Najam Iqbal is the new bowler. By the look of it, seems to be the way he's gripping the ball, seems to be an off spinner bowling to Zenith Fowler.
Oh, good shot. Just squeezing it through, backward point, and they'll get 2.
To the topic of Fowler, Brian, he's played a couple of cameos.
Yes.
But from what we have seen is he's brilliant when it comes to compactness, gets right on top of the ball, every shot, and packs a lot of power too. And that was a good example, the way he opened his wrist at the last minute to get the gap as Najam continues.
Ooh. Good piece of batsmanship, just opening the face, running that one behind square, and you see how quickly he comes back for that second run. Excuse me. And the reason, Munir, that he can come back for that second run so quickly, do I even need to say it?
He is from
Jamaica. Do I even need to say anything else? The best sprinters in the world, need I say more? So 2 more runs
No
to
doubt.
Zenith Fowler. Huge stride forward. Appeal for LBW, but
bat pad the way I saw it.
completely. So I think I completely agree with you. He's compact in defense. Here you see on the replay, huge stride. Actually, there was not a lot wrong with that shout. I think the fact that he got as far forward as he did is what saved him.
And Najam seems to be, his bowled 3 interesting deliveries. The last one was a conventional off spinner, but the second delivery I thought might have been a doosra. It pitched and went away. So interesting change here.
It's very interesting that Fowler is choosing to go back and play defensively. A couple of those balls I would have thought he could have played an aggressive pull shot to, but notice that there's a man at deep mid-wicket. So that might be why he's not playing those shots. This has just helped down to long on for a single.
One of the greatest skills, Brian, in cricket and in batting in particular is if you can get to the top, right to the pitch from a spinner and drive it down, down the ground. And Fowler seemed to do it so easily, just easy to the eye. Tells you the quality of batsmanship that he possesses.
Completely. It was in the West Indies U19 setup several years ago. These days, of course, makes his living in the minor league circuit. Cut away fiercely. There's a man, in fact, the man running around from third man to retrieve is Karthik Gatipalli, who unfortunately for Chicago is not on their side. Beautiful shot to end things here in the 6th. That is the end of the power play. At the end of the power play, the score is 6-3 for 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Almost, yeah.
6-3 for 1. I think both the cricket gods and the rain gods may be on our side. Maybe. Because I think we've seen on the radar there's 2 large cells that appear to be producing a fair amount of rain. But interestingly, both cells, one is passing to the east of us, the other is passing to the west of us. So we may be spared. Fingers crossed, if you want to see a complete cricket match, we may be spared. As Mohamed Wakas himself has taken up the attack from the forest end, he will be bowling to Zenith Fowler.
Now, interestingly, the pitch that looked unplayable, Houston have scored at over 10 and over, at quite a notch. And although it might have been gifted by some indisciplined bowling, but the innings of Ramiz Raja, what a template he has set here. We are witnessing a quality knock from a quality batsman here.
You're absolutely right. Ramiz Raja, of course, last season, one of the talismans for the Houston Hurricanes, has not yet had the type of impact overall on the league that he did last year. But I think the talent is always there. As that old saying goes, form is temporary, class is permanent. I think he's a class player, and he's demonstrating exactly how to treat these conditions here today. Now, something else that has come to mind as you see Zenith Fowler defensively, almost like he's playing a test match. All of a sudden, they have passed the 5-over mark, and they're well in front in terms of Duckworth-Lewis. So if this game were to stop right now, my impression is that Houston would win, because 5 overs essentially constitutes an official game. So as long as they don't lose wickets in bunches, it's not the case that they have to go for sort of huge runs as they just jog through for what I think is going to be a leg by. Nope, it's a wide. So 2 runs more to the total. So that may be what we're seeing here, whereas Zenith Fowler is almost like he's playing at Sabina Park and facing up to Australia's test opening bowlers, because he's not in any way attempted to play an aggressive shot. At the same time, I think the fact that they are ahead in terms of Duckworth-Lewis and par score, I think that's why you see a shift in the approach by both of these batters right now. And as I say that, this is crashed away over extra cover. Oh my goodness, Ramiz Raja Jr. continues. He's now up to 42 from 20. Tremendous stroke over the top of extra cover. 69 for 1 is now the score. And just another 45 runs separating the Houston Hurricanes from victory.
And although Hurricanes are well ahead, it seems they have this game in the kitty. They would want to go on just because of what's going on in the middle. Ramiz Raja has been one of their biggest Achilles heel this season, given how prominent position he commands in this batting lineup. He didn't have the runs coming into this game, but the way he's middling the ball, the momentum he's got right now, they don't want him to stop. And they've got 2 big games coming up next weekend with the Michigan Cricket Stars, and that may dictate how the season ends for them, and they want Ramiz to take that form into those 2 big games. So go on, Ramiz.
Absolutely. And as we might be able to, this last ball coming up of this over is just defending into the offside for a quick single. We might be able to get a peek at the Duckworth-Lewis chart. If we can get that available, we'll show it to you. But I think overall, the Houston Hurricanes are ahead as far as that is concerned. Mohamed Wakas, no, this really will be the last ball, and it's forced off the back foot to short extra cover for no run. So at the end of 7, score is 7-0 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Well, Munir, looking at, and you know, I just requested Duckworth-Lewis, and it has been presented to us by the great Rodil Alman in the production area. Now, my degree is not in Duckworth-Lewis, so I can't exactly read this chart. I'll rely on you to tell me what this says, but it appears just from a quick look that Houston is well ahead of the race.
Najam Iqbal continues, and Ramiz, like he's done all day long so far, gets down to the pitch, nicely knocks it down, well in control. So looking at the Duckworth-Lewis, Brian, I'm going to look at the column with 2 wickets, because that's what in fact, 1 wicket. That's what the Hurricanes have lost so far. So if at this stage the rain was to come down, which is 7.1, the par score is 35.
Oh, wow.
They're cruising with more than twice of that.
So Houston has literally doubled the par score. So obviously more important at this stage if you're Houston, not necessarily to score runs, but to not lose wickets. Oh, swept away down the leg side. That might run away for 4. And it does, in fact, hit the... Oh, it's wide. So not swept away. Just did not hit anything. Just completely eluded the keeper and went away for 5 wide. So that will not help matters any if you are a Chicago Blasters fan. 5 free runs given to Houston. And they pulled that much closer to victory.
Wide down the leg side, yes. And as Najim continues, and he's rushing, seemed to have rushed Fowler, so wise decision to pull out.
Right.
Interestingly, I noticed there's no fine leg, no fielder inside 30 either. And Fowler is a good sweeper of the ball as this crams him. Nice turn on that delivery, no run.
Oh, look, if you're Najam Iqbal and the Chicago Blasters, the result of this game may potentially already be decided, but you just want to keep fighting. And you want to make sure that they score off of your good balls. That is a great shot. Oh, that is a great shot. It may not get to the boundary. And, in fact, good sliding stop by the fielder running back here down close to us at third man. But a lovely-looking late cut. We talked about Zinni Fowler having a lot of power. That one was anything but power. It was just all class and timing.
Yeah, and it looked like the young legs of Mohit Patel, who chased it down with a sliding effort, kept it down to just 2. Having bowled a good spell with the new ball, he was preferably hiding at short third.
Yes. Oh, did he get all of that? I don't think he did, but he might be okay. It just lands short. He went for the big hit. Did not make good contact, but it did not carry all the way down to the fielder running in from long off. So Zinni Fowler might consider himself lucky there. He almost hauled out to that fielder in the deep.
That's something we had been anticipating. We said how clean, as we'll come back to it after this delivery. Nice and full, and it's beautifully swept. A slog sweep, and almost like it's just to the right of long on. Because it was so wide outside the off stump, he couldn't drag it to where exactly he wanted, but still picks up the gap. He's in such good form right now.
Oh, look at that replay. Just absolutely bludgeoning that ball. Going to probably where you would say cow corner would be. And 2 or 3 steps taken by the fielder at long on, then he immediately gave up after that because he knew that he was always going to be retrieving as opposed to trying to save a boundary.
48 of 23. He's not seeing fielders today, just gaps.
My goodness. And just taps this one. Do they want to come back for 2? They have 1. No. 49 from 24. Just tremendous batting from Ramiz Raja. 84 for 1 after 8. Ramiz Raja will be on strike to start the next over to look for what would be a very well played 50. We'll be right back.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Ramiz Raja back on strike. Oh, good delivery, beating him outside the off stump. This bowler
It seems
is Mohamed Wakas. Mohamed Wakas bowling around the wicket, trying to cut down on that angle, have the ball going across Ramiz Raja, asking him to play on the offside. And there is a 50. What a well-played 50 by Ramiz Raja Jr. Did the hard work. A bit of byplay between him and Mohamed Wakas, as he knows that he has taken his team to within sight of what would be a comprehensive victory.
What a knock.
Oh, good running. Good call and a good run. Well, they might have an extra run here if they want it. Nope, change their minds. But this is good cricket all around by Ramiz Raja. Just Munir, take a couple of minutes to just sort of talk about the approach. You touched on it earlier, the mental approach that he has to be able to shepherd the innings in the way that he has so far.
The fact that the entire Houston Hurricanes dugout was on their feet and they walked to the boundary rope, as this is nicely worked from Fowler across for a single. In fact, that was Ramiz Raja. The fact that all of them were on their feet and applauding this innings tells you the magnitude and the weight of his batting prowess that he commands in this team. He has had an interesting season. He hasn't looked terribly out of form, I would say, but he was just kind of not finding the right luck. A lot of soft dismissals. And today he hit the ground running, finally. And it's very important for him to carry this momentum as Wakas continues, and it's nicely worked by Fowler. Nice use of the wrist to short fine leg. They scamper across for a single. 88 the score now. 4 singles of this over.
Just 26 runs separating the Houston Hurricanes from victory as Wakas with the last ball, and it is pulled behind square, running away for 4. Wash, rinse, repeat. Ramiz Raja is on fire.
Beautifully rolled his wrist all along the turf. He doesn't have to take the aerial route given how well he's timing the ball. He's in a different class today.
Completely. So 92 for 1 is the score after 9. Short break and we'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
92 for 1. The rain gods, I mentioned it a second ago, the rain gods have shined on us because we are now in brilliant sunshine here at Prairie View. And I believe that the 2 clouds or the 2 weather systems that were threatening have both dissipated and have gone around us. I think we will have uninterrupted cricket the rest of the way. And we don't have a lot of distance to go the rest of the way because with that wide to start the 10th, the deficit is now only 21 runs. Oh, looking for a big strike was Zenith Fowler. Wants to get things over with. I think he was eyeing that big gap at mid-wicket.
A little too full, almost yawned himself.
Yeah.
But it would be, on top of Ramiz Raja's Black Friday, it would be Cyber Monday if Zenith Fowler joins the party. He is such a good striker of the ball.
Yep. Oh. He's forcing this one off the back foot. Actually a good piece of work by Mohamed Wakas to not have that ball go by him. It was spinning. You could see it spinning as it came in this direction, but he did a good job to sort of smother the spin, if you will, and prevent it from going for runs. Off the back foot, 3 dot balls to start the 10th. So not bad going by Chicago. Not, of course, there was the wide. So 1 run scored from the over so far, but Chicago Blasters are not going to make this easy for Houston, nor should they. This is a game that Houston will have to fight for to get the victory. And even though they are almost there, as this is struck down to square leg for a single, they're almost there. So now the deficit is only 20 runs exactly. But if you're Chicago, you still want to fight all the way. I've said it a couple times already. They want to be able to run through the tape.
And though it seemed Najam has been bowling very well, which he is, in fact, to give him due credit, Ramiz might now play a totally different game. Like I said, he's in a different league. Every batsman on this pitch has struggled, but somehow he has hit a zone where just everything is hitting the middle of the bat. We saw Zenith Fowler struggle with those 4 deliveries, yorking himself, getting to the other end finally, and now, like I said, Ramiz might be playing a totally different game, which he does.
Interestingly, before that delivery was bowled, he stepped across about a foot to the offside. So a ball that would have been outside off stump ended up being straight to him, and he's looking to reverse sweep this. Oh, quick shy at the stumps at the striker's end by the keeper. Not out, and so a single to close things out here in the 10th. We're halfway through the innings, but importantly for Houston, they're only 15 runs away from victory. 99 for 1. We'll be right back.
One, two, three.
Nine for 1. Bowling to be taken up from the Forest end.
A change which would have Ramiz's eyes lit up as Abdullah Qadri comes back in. This time he gets his bearings right, but it's a slight misfield at third man as they scamper back for 2 runs. Remember, Abdullah Qadri opened the bowling in that second over. A long over with a number of no balls and wides ended up conceding 23 runs in that first over.
I like going back to
Abdullah Qadri.
Qadri. I'm trying to pronounce his name properly. I'll say more after this delivery. Oh, this is struck in the air through extra cover. That will run away for 4. It does. So I like the fact that they've gone back to him for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think you and I saw enough in him bowling to know that he is a capable enough bowler. He just needs to get the radar right. Here, see on the replay, this is a great shot. Absolutely great shot. That ball was pitching leg stump, and he hit it over extra cover.
Nothing wrong with that delivery.
Nothing at all wrong with the delivery. Sometimes you just come up against a good batter. But for the purposes of being able to help him build his confidence, oh my goodness, what a shot. Boy, the point I'm trying to make is being taken away with each shot. But I like being able to attempt to build the confidence of the young man, to put him back into the fight. Don't have him just bowl one over and stop. So I like that piece. But he's up against a truly imperious batter here in Ramiz Raja. And now only 8 runs, 2 strokes separate the Houston side from victory. Fowler stroking it down the ground for a single.
And the thing is, Brian, Qadri is not the kind of bowler you would watch his action and say he's a hit the deck kind of a bowler. He's always going to get that swing with the new ball. And with the left armor, often it so happens to be the case that you drift down the leg side, which was the case today. And for a youngster, he can only take positives to go and work in the nets and keep improving his game.
You are 100% right. Here he is again. Full and stroke down the ground. They're just doing it in singles at this point. No reason for them to do anything different. 6 runs away from victory. And as I say the word 6, my watch vibrates telling me that it's 6 p.m. I wonder if 6 and 6 p.m. can result in Zenith Fowler hitting a 6 off this last ball to send us all home. Not hitting a 6 off that ball. That is a great delivery. Good comeback over by young Qadri. Did I say that properly? Good comeback over from him, only conceding 9 runs from it. At the end of 11, scores 108 for 1.
Right on the money, Brian, that time.
For win number 6. Oh, my goodness. All 6s. 108 for 1. 1 suspects Munir, that this might be the last over of the match, because only 6 runs separate the Houston Hurricanes from what would be a comprehensive victory. Ramiz Raja, 67 not out from 34. Zenith Fowler, 13 from 22, not to be outdone. And this bowling will be by Humayun Ahmadzai. Here's Humayun. Full down the leg side. Good diving take by Ayush Thakur.
Interesting hop as he sets into his delivery stride, but misses his bearings. So like Brian was saying in the last over, 6 o'clock, it's not 6 anymore, it's 5 runs to win, but to nudge to 6 wins on the table. As that's very nicely worked to the leg side. All the fielders are back. To Ramiz, they're not even considering bringing the field up now.
No. And now only 4 runs separate the Houston squad from victory.
Zenith Fowler on strike. We're still waiting for that big hit as this is squashed back of length, and that's the win.
Elegantly forced off the back foot. Pretty comprehensive victory in the end by Houston. Not much fuss. Only lost 1 wicket, and that wicket a run out. Here you see on the replay, short and just helped. Just sort of a help yourself type of delivery. And help yourself is exactly what Zenith Fowler did. So the Houston Hurricanes with a pretty comprehensive victory. All told, a very, very good victory. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Munir, their 5th victory in a row. Winning this one by 9 wickets. Just a good piece of batsmanship shown by Ramiz Raja Jr. and by Munir Chowdhury to start out with. And after he was run out, Zenith Fowler came in and did his best to not rock the boat. And a pretty comprehensive victory in the end. I think demonstrating how when you apply yourself and bat on a tricky surface, that it does not have to be something that defeats you. So that is the end of things. We'll be looking to conduct an interview here shortly. And we'll just take a short break. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
No interview.
Which is all good for me. I might as well just put my feet up somewhere.
Thank you so much. What a fucking finish. Rain all around. Rain all around. Michigan lost. Chicago lost.
I was looking at the replay. This is us here.